All right. So, welcome, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, and everything possibly in between, over from the Cross Core, over on the John Cross channel. Those who have currently subscribed to the Anatomy Podcast YouTube channel, now at 67 subscribers. It should at least be 67 subscribers by now, being that is how many episodes we have fucking done by this point. But for me, it is currently 5:35 p.m. Mountain time, Phoenix time. Now, for Joseph over here, I'm not too sure what time it is for you, but I know we are in different time zones. It's going to be 6 or 7:35 for you right now.
Central Standard, which is the superior time zone.
It is, though. It really is. So 6:35. I mean, I got really comfortable with Central Standard Time when I was living over in Tennessee throughout the entirety of 2022. And yeah, it was easier. Essentially, like, I was working a job based in Arizona while I was living over there. So basically, everybody would have to get up at the butt crack of dawn. Meanwhile, I would log in at 8, but technically I was working at 6. It was a whole gig. It was really nice. It still allowed me to kind of utilize the day for what it was worth. And, well, Central Time Zone, yeah, I think I can agree with Joseph there that it is the superior time zone, as most of the United States revolves around it, whether it's daylight savings year or time of the year or not. But today, we, after a good chunk of time, not too many conversations, attempting to get something scheduled, like other artists and bands, other personalities we've had on the show before. There weren't too many circumstances to where we had to reschedule, we had to do this, we had to do that because work got in the way, or, you know, maybe I was too fucking tired, but I worded it differently. Like, today, it's very, very easy. It's very seamless. But nonetheless, after so long, after listening to Surefire's most recent EP, that being Holehearted, becoming really invested into this band, acknowledging them and comparing them to projects and endeavors such as, and not limited to, Victims from Illinois, just the mix of heavier elements with metalcore that they seem to be doing, but of course with their own Surefire solution, Spice, right? Essentially,
that's terrible.
It is terrible. Good for branding or some shit, but they have their own spice. They have their own means of making sure that when you listen to them, well, you're not listening to Victims, right? You're not listening to all of these other borderline deathcore or metallic hardcore mixed with metalcore bands. Surefire is its own animal, and their most recent EP, Holehearted, definitely demonstrated that. But kind of breaking it down, bringing it back down to earth. Essentially tonight, we make our debut collaboration. We make our debut discussion with, well, the most curliest mustached frontman for Surefire.
Dude, I shaved it like a week and a half ago. It's for good reason. I promise it's coming back because I love my curl. But the sides will eventually frail and brittle out to the point where they will just like fall out. So the top parts of it were great and it was nice and long and it went like all the way out to here, but the bottom was so patchy, so it started getting thinner and thinner. Like, it kept getting long, but it was super thin and like just not like. It's great having the curl, but if you don't have girth behind it, it just fucking looks stupid.
How about the girth, bro? Exactly. I can definitely attest. Like, you can kind of see that right there. You can see it right there. My stash is still coming in, but I just the other day realized, after watching The Big Lebowski, watching stuff. I forgot the film. I do believe it's a murder mystery. It's with this dude who literally looks like the real life Monopoly man, but he's like French and he's got like OCD and shit. I forgot. Oh my God. I forgot the name of the first movie I saw in the series, because I do believe the most recent installment was Death on the Nile. But I found out the secret. I discovered the secret to like really having just a magnificent mustache, because I've been trying to figure that out for such a long time. I've been growing this colossus since at least like 2021. And essentially one day I hope to instill the brand of like even making the guys in Duck Dynasty punch air because my beard is so long and well maintained. But still, you know, there's some class to it, right? I've seen the bassist, I've seen one of the guitarists from Five Finger Death Punch, in which he literally has his beard dreaded, like legit shit. So I mean, good start to the conversation, kind of kickstarting it off with facial hair and, you know, facial hair routine and like the mouse.
It's important. Come on, it's makeup for men. Like, let's be honest, a beard and a mustache, it makes or breaks your face. You could have the shittiest jawline, but if you can grow a beard, dude, you're fucking set. You don't got to worry about shit.
Exactly.
You could not only be distinguished as a businessman, but also as someone that's forklift certified, and that's pretty fucking cool.
Too bad I'm not either one of those, but
fuck.
Resume demolished. This guy has
a double whammy with that one.
Yeah, exactly. He's not forklift certified. This fake motherfucker.
This piece of shit.
This piece of shit. No, it's been such a long journey, and I mean, I can easily pull up images of like me. I think they still should be on my Facebook too. Just me kind of pre-beard. You even like see a little preview of it in my Facebook cover photo. But let's just say I am never, ever, ever taking my beard off my face again, even if it's to make it more bushy, help it grow out better. Nah, dude. As far as I'm concerned, I have Scottish genes. This is probably the best mustache form I'll get in my 20s. So I'm just going to like let it kind of do a deathcore logo, just like kind of horn curl, whatever the fuck that is. And then over time, I'm just going to just turn it into a massive, like maybe even Monopoly Man level one day.
You're going to get a monocle and a top hat to go with it. It's going to be awesome.
Bro. Exactly, bro. Especially as my hair proceeds to like continue to recede and shit. I'm just gonna shave it out.
I feel that it's rough. It's rough out here.
It's rough. It's very rough out here. Well, I mean, of course, while we're on the segment of that, while we're kind of talking about that, and you know, one thing that we can relate on, this is, you know, definitely a more authentic connection, because this is also our first time talking on the phone. This is our first time talking in anything other than Facebook Messenger about me bugging you, just like, hey, I want to get Surefire on my show. Like, let's get your band on my show, please. I need this. I need the networking. Just kidding. I love Surefire authentically.
Give me the streams.
Give me the streams. Exactly. What products do you use currently, if you do use any, for that stash to kind of bring it to its full potential?
So I don't know the actual like brand or anything, but it's literally just like a beeswax kind of thing. When it's like when I'm first like growing out the sides and trying to get it to actually curl up, what I'll do is I'll twist. That way it actually starts like normally growing out this way, kind of like when you have a cowlick and you grow your hair out and you comb it a certain way. It's the exact same like premise, I guess is the word I would use. You basically just have to train it to start going up that way, and then once it gets long enough, you literally just like bring it straight out, and then you just curl it, and then you dry it, curl it, dry it, curl it, dry it, and then eventually you get like a loop.
Fair enough. Okay. Yeah, I didn't even think about that part. And me over here, I've been pretending to be like a beard connoisseur these last couple years. I mean, the length is there, but you can kind of see that I trimmed again recently, because I'm like, that's it. I have to add this to the stash to make it bigger. I never even realized that all these years. So all these years, I'm like, why the fuck? Like, I'm curling up my mustache, but why doesn't it look good? Why doesn't it look like the freaking Monopoly Man? Oh wait, you have to add DLC to it. That's why it connects.
You have to add DLC. Fuck! I didn't pay for the expansion. It's fucked. We're fucked.
Seriously, dude, it's a totally different animal when you like finally realize that. And maybe despite me being so intellectual and studying up on that shit all these years, watching all the tutorial videos I did from like name brand beard care solutions and men's grooming, whatever, it's like, I don't know if I'm the only one who took so long to realize that like literally your beard can be mustache DLC if you just kind of fine tune it correctly. I had no idea. I didn't realize that this whole time. So I'm over here thinking that all these dudes are just using so much beard balm and they're letting their mustache grow out from the corners so long.
All the way fucking down to here over their lip.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I'm over here thinking that that's what you're supposed to do is just let it grow out, let it bushel out, look like fucking the freaking Japanese senseis or even Sensei Wong from fucking Lego Ninjago, just like your elemental color is green. Like, all right, so fire, earth, water, stone, metal, green. Good shit. Good start to the show. But as we're kind of like getting connected and we're getting on a more personal level, of course, nerding out over mustache and beard care routine bullshit. Everybody on the show, everybody listening over on Spotify is going to want to know who we have in session. So usually what I do to kickstart the Anatomy podcast all the way up until now with our so far 68 different episodes with one on the way, one half of one on the way, and then one being recorded tomorrow. I think, yes, it's going to be 69. You scored it. You managed to score 69.
Let's fucking go!
In Virulent, almost got 69. But I decided to, like, I didn't even plan that. So for sure, anybody who scored that. But tonight, 69 belongs to Surefire. We love to see it. Everything happens for a reason, baby. Surefire got the 69 placement. But one thing I always like to do to kickstart the episode by kind of diving into the people part of the podcast is what I want you to do is kind of imagine yourself back in elementary school, right? As cringe as that is, as intimidating as that might be. Imagine yourself in elementary school. It's your first day of class, maybe after a fresh move, or maybe you got enrolled to a brand new school. You have to provide a kind of small introduction, right? You have to at least tell your name, say something you like to do outside of class, maybe in this case, like outside of music, and then basically tell us where you grew up, the city more specifically, and then we'll proceed from that point.
So I'm Joseph, Joe, whatever. I really don't care, honestly, as long as it starts with a J. It's chill. Except I don't like Joey. That's the one I don't like is Joey. Yeah, so I grew up in a little like farm town in Wisconsin called Johnson Creek. I grew up with my sister and my grandparents. And honestly, like Johnson Creek wasn't anything like special. Like I had a few friends from there. I have maybe like one or two that I still talk to on like very rare occasions, but it's one of those because like I live like 3 hours north, like northeast of like where Johnson Creek is. So it was basically just like a case of like, oh, he moved away, like peace, you know. Yeah, so I grew up in Johnson Creek, and then I moved to Oconomowoc when I was 18. I lived there for like a year and a half maybe, and then I moved back to Johnson Creek for a few months when COVID hit, and then moved out to Hartford, lived there for almost 3 years. I want to say it was either like a latter 2 or an early 3, something of the such. And now I live with Ian, the bassist of Surefire, and we live with my cat, and you can't really see him, but he has his own chair like right here, so he can chill with me while I'm recording, working, or playing some, video games.
That's sick.
Video gaming. But yeah, no, in my free time, like I don't know, it's kind of a weird thing. Like I have free time, and it's usually spent with my friend Zach. Like that's my best friend. Like that is my boy. That's my boy. But we play like balloons. We play what else have we been playing lately? Pal World has been on the thing. Pal World, dude, is so much fucking fun. And I think that one of the reasons that it's like so popular now, in general, is because like Pokemon isn't on anything but Nintendo products. But it is a great game, and I'm not knocking it by any means. But I think one of the reasons it's so popular is because it literally is Pokemon on different systems. And I hope it continues to grow because genuinely, it is a really fucking fun game. And I hope Nintendo doesn't pull their typical Sue Happy thing where they go, You guys are a pig for this. Fuck you. You can't fucking do that. I hate Nintendo so much. Anyone that's a video gamer should fucking hate Nintendo. They are the worst.
I know I do.
Like,
yeah,
dude, I'm probably misquoting this a little bit, but there was a dude who like changed his name to Gay Bowser and is being sued and got sued by Nintendo. It's like 30 or 40% of his paychecks for the rest of his life he has to pay to Nintendo. That's fucked.
That's
like that
fucked,
is like
dude.
Terrible.
That's,
like,
that's
can you imagine? Can you imagine 40% of your paychecks for life because you made a joke with your name?
Because Gay Bowser.
Fucking so long, Gay Bowser. Fucking
Gay Bowser.
That's just
fucked,
terrible.
Dude. No, like, yeah, you were saying. Continue by all means.
But yeah, no, like in my free time, it's usually I'm hanging out with Zach or like this last week I redid our website, I redid our EPK, I redid our email. So like our email now has like a proper like logo on the bottom, EPK link, PDF link, number, location, etc. So I'm basically like in the process of like taking our band from being like a local band to more of like a regional band. That way we can like, you know, start pushing ourselves to, you know, bigger promotion agencies, to tour packages that come through and being like, hey, here's who we are, listen to our music, let us play, please, you know. But other than that, we, you know, the last like month or so has been tour prep because we're going on tour with Weeping Wound and Glass Waves. Really excited for that. We played with dude, so I'm gonna talk about Glass Waves for a second actually. So I met these guys on the internet. Like it was literally just like how you and I met, just like a comment somewhere, and I added this guy, and then now we're talking in a podcast, right? It was a very similar thing with Glass Waves. Like they used to be known as Junexa. They rebranded themselves to Glass Waves, and I remember seeing some, I think it was a post about I think it was either Tyler or it was Brendan sharing like a reel of Dead Dreams before it came out. And I literally like, so we were on tour in June with Still Stayer, and like it released in the middle of tour, and I spent the next like 3 days whenever I had my earbuds in just listening to that song over and over and over again. Like those guys are like, they're very like Bad Omens, but also very Dayseeker as well. So it's I know that sounds super cliche, but I promise it's not. Like they are super fucking good. But I reached out to them and I was like, hey, what would it take for you guys to come out to Milwaukee and play with us? Because like, you know, there's a lot of BS that goes on in New York, and not that I know about a lot of it. But you know, I was like, hey, I really want to get you guys out here and get you introduced to our metal scene because it's very metalcore-y. Like we have bands like Lilac and Lotus, Heirs of Humanity. They are really fucking cool. Yes. They recently opened up for Carnifex and Signs of the Swarm at the Rave. And like, I know like it's a big deal, right? Opening up for those bands is a big deal, but they played at the Rave, and the Rave is like, they don't have local acts play very much because the tour packages that come through typically have like 5-6 bands on them. Yeah. So they fill the venue, right? And it's literally in like downtown Milwaukee. So like it's the biggest venue in Milwaukee, right? But the fact that they got like first Still Stayer played the Rave, and then Heirs of Humanity played the Rave, and so now like the actual like, I don't know if it's the business or like the building, but they're actually letting local bands like play there now. And it's really fucking cool because like it went from 3-4 years ago when like music was like completely dead from COVID, and just like, you know, we had a few hardcore shows at JJ's Basement every now and then, but like X-Ray wasn't popping off. The Miramar, well, I don't think the Miramar even really plays shows outside of like dubstep or like alternative stuff. The only thing that sucks with the Miramar is they're one of those venues where you can book there, but unless you have like a big following, it's not worth it just because of the booking cost, which sucks because it's a very nice venue, but it's like a medium between X-Ray Arcade and the Rave. X-Ray is a 300 cap, the Miramar is like a 600 cap, and the Rave is the basement of the Rave is like 800. The Grand Ballroom is like 3,000. Like it literally like, it's crazy, right? And speaking of which, when Motionless in White Knocked Loose and Alpha Wolf came through and played at the rave, the ballroom sold out. They sold out and oversold tickets. So like seeing that many people in one space, like in a place that, you know, you grew up around, and you know you've been attending concerts since you were like 15, 16, it's awesome. Like seeing that music is getting to a point again where people are coming out to shows and wanting to support not only like local bands but the acts that come through is just awesome. And I think that, contrary to popular belief, I think music is like, and metal especially, is in like the best spot it's been in years. And I know that people will keep saying that, oh, it's because of bands like Lorna Shore, it's because of bands like Sleep Token. Yes, it is because of them, but it's also because of other bands. You have bands like Signs of the Swarm, you have Eskimo Callboy, you have so many different genres that are just popping off right now. And I think it's really fucking cool that like we get to like witness that happen, you know. We get to watch music basically like rebirth itself after COVID and start to flourish again.
It's a post-pandemic reincarnation from a business standpoint that we didn't think was going to happen in the first place. Because I can tell you, dude, I remember back in 2020 when the world first shut down, and now it's being recognized as the first social test for martial law. Of course, there were people that died from sickness, but like, it's just crazy the observations that we're making now, and the statements that are now being made public regarding like what the world's true intentions were at the time. But from speaking on behalf of the music industry, like I remember being so depressed because Suicide Silence, amongst other artists, they're like, okay, we're going to start doing virtual concerts now. Like, you know, people were trying to experiment, but it was not working. It was not working. We're like, no, dude, you might as well just wait until we can do live shows again. Like, we don't want virtual concerts. Are you fucking kidding me? But
question.
Yes.
What was your first show that you attended once COVID regulations were lifted in your area? If there were regulations.
There were. What I can say is that it came back pretty quick. Later 2021. And that was after basically they required us to get vaccines, and they required us to have vaccine verification cards, and that's how you went to shows. Fucked. Like
I had someone that I took to a show one time who I told beforehand, I'm like, hey, you need to have your vaccination card or you need to have a negative test for us to get in. And we didn't get in because they forgot it. And then I was like, all right, let's go to Walgreens. And then they threw like a hissy fit the whole time. They're like, oh, can we just go home? And I was like, dog, we just drove 2 hours from my house to get here.
Dude.
Like, Gracie's playing. I want to watch Gracie, please. Come on.
Gracie, please. No, I remember I forgot what show it was in 2021 because ultimately at the time things were still pretty intense. You know what? It was the fuck. Okay. I'm pretty sure I went to go see the latest Body Snatcher tour coming through town. But that tour also had Left to Suffer, Boundaries, and I think
I remember that tour. That was a good fucking bill.
That was a solid line.
Whole bill. Just
it was good.
What's the tour that's it was just announced. Spites on it. That bill is
Common Enemies tour.
Yes, the Common Enemies tour, dude. I saw that and I'm like, holy fucking shit.
We just interviewed Cell and they're gonna be on that bill.
Dude, Cell's gonna I fucking love Cell.
Cell is so
we played with them at X-Ray Arcade last year, and I remember like seeing this dude step up on stage, and I'm like, this guy is fucking beefy. Like he literally he has such an aura around him. When you look at him, he's just fucking mean. He's such a nice fucking guy.
No, they really are.
I remember the first song that they fucking played, like it was insane. This dude, like his low register was like lower than I could like really rasp my voice down to. Like, it's fucking crazy.
The dude is a good combination between, I forgot his name. He's the guy who does Black Tongue. But he's a good combination between that vocalist to me and Matt Honeycutt. And that's like, that's also why with the Under the Skin session we did, and just like the debut session we did with Cell on the Anatomy podcast recently. Shout out to the boys in Cell. Could not wait to see you guys come through town when you do on the Common Enemies tour, because you better bet your fucking ass I'm going to be getting the VIP the moment I have the fucking money for it. But definitely their new EP, The Unbearable Form, tough for short, by the way. It's a good combination musically and genre-radically, instrumentally speaking too. It's a good combination for me between Orthodox and Black. Right.
You're good now.
Okay, we're back. I'll probably just
nothing happened in Bossing Say. There was no war. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I love you, dude. Because nothing happened, okay?
I love
nothing
you,
happened in Bossing Say, buddy. All right?
Bossing Say. Fucking, we got 2 Avatar The Last Airbender nerds in here too. Let's go.
Okay, listen. I literally just rewatched the entire 3 books. Like, I rewatched Water, Earth, and Fire from the first, like from Avatar The Last Airbender. And then I watched Legend of Korra. And I'm going to be, dude, I swear to God, the deaths in Legend of Korra were not TV rated, especially Pali's death. Like, dude, she literally had a fucking piece of metal bent over her head. She self-combusted herself. She literally blew up her own head in a kid's show. Like, that's terrible. And then there was Amon's death, where his brother literally held an electrical thing and he blew up their boat by igniting the gas in a kid's show. In a fucking kid's show, dude. That's terrible.
You're telling me.
I love it though.
We on the Anatomy podcast, I love Avatar The Last Airbender. I finally got to watching it. What was it? I think it had to have been about 5 or 6 years ago now, because I know I watched that show and knocked it off the checklist before the 2020s truly kickstarted. And I am not looking forward to the new Netflix incarnation. Like, with how serious they're planning to make Aang, and he's just like actually not a kid. He's like, I need to learn how to be an avatar, and like no kidliness at all. I'm like, what the fuck? And they're not making Sokka sexist anymore. But
I think that in regards to that, I think that it's somewhat of a good decision, because I think a lot of people, you have to remember, a lot of people that are going to be watching this aren't going to be like Avatar fans. They're not going to be people that grew up watching The Last Airbender, and they're not going to be like fine, critiquing every little thing, except for the movie by M. Night Shyamalan. That movie is Dragon Ball Evolution is a better movie than that fucking movie. Okay. And I know that is a hot take, but I swear to God, at least Dragon Ball Evolution makes you laugh. It's Ong. My name is Ong. Good to meet you. I'm Ong. Like, what the fuck is an Ong? It's Aang. There's no Ong.
Ong
off. Ong off. I will say though, for all intensive purposes, that last Airbender movie, it served a purpose. It served a paramount purpose to show people not to make movies like that again, because we haven't had a movie as bad as Dragon Ball Evolution or The Last Airbender since that. And you can quote me on that. There hasn't been a movie that catastrophically bad with that big of a budget since then. And I swear to God, it's because M. Night Shyamalan took that fucking L, and every director was like, like, fuck, dude. Good, and it sucks too, because he's a good director. Like, M. Night Shyamalan has a huge fucking discography of just like blockbusters under his belt, and then you see that and it's like, was he drunk when he wrote this? Like, who the fuck let him cook?
My name is Ong.
Fucking Ong. And dude, the scene that makes me laugh the most in that movie is when they go to the Earthbender camp and it takes like 5 fucking people to move a boulder that's like this big. Like they do all this like hua, hua, and it's literally just it's literally the fucking worst. It is just terrible. Like I understand why they wanted to keep a martial arts aspect. Like I do, because like to the average viewer, what the they're just gonna fucking punch and something goes flying? That doesn't make sense. I'm 90 years old. What the fuck is a rock? You know? It's like, damn, dude, you guys could have at least made it fucking instead of.
It's not just a boulder. It's a rock.
It's a rock, Jimmy. They're throwing feathers at you.
It's gonna be a fun podcast session for people to listen to. I'm hoping that people like this. But dude, honestly, hands down,
I'm canceling us after this podcast.
No, don't. I'm good.
I'm calling Twitter.
No, I don't have Twitter. Fuck you. I deleted mine.
I haven't. Well, I take that back. I've made a Twitter account, but I have never actually like actively used Twitter, and I've never actively used Reddit. And I think that is one of the reasons that I'm not like a fucked in the head vocalist, because a lot of these dudes are like constantly on like r/metalcore, r/deathcore, just ingesting the feces from the fucking posts.
I will never get on Reddit. I'll tell you what. Pinterest is probably the closest thing I'll get to Reddit, and those are not nearly the same. Fuck Reddit, dude. So cancerous.
Dude, Reddit is the worst. Like, don't get me wrong. I have found a lot of solutions to my problems on that website, not only from a hardware standpoint, but from an actual, like, how the fuck do I do this kind of thing? So it's great in that aspect. But then you look at the actual, like, communities and fan bases that are in Reddit, and it's like, damn, dude, that fucking sucks. Like, you could have been anything, but you chose to be this. Like, fuck, dude. That's terrible.
Fair enough, yeah. Well, I mean, we've been talking a lot, and dude, honestly, I don't even give a fuck. Let's get all nerdy and shit. Like, obviously, you're
talking Warhammer.
I can't talk Warhammer, unfortunately. I'm not on that level yet. I'm sorry. Like, I can say that I'm invested and was religiously indoctrinated into Star Wars.
Dude.
I'm a Marvel guy.
That's so good. Actually, Zach and I just got back into playing Battlefront 2 because there's a mod called Battlefront Plus, and they've been like adding in like the newer books and the newer shows content. So like they have Ahsoka with the 2 white lightsabers in it now. They have like special variants of the super battle droids. They have special skins for the droidicas. Dude, it's fucking sick. I think we've spent like the last like 5 days. We've spent maybe like 9 or 10 hours on it, and we both work full-time jobs. That's a pretty decent amount of fucking time.
That's a good time. Yeah.
And it is a good time. I fucking love that game, and I wish it wasn't like, I wish EA didn't like chop it off at the fucking every game.
I love it. Yeah.
Fucking Chris Barnes, dude.
EA is, dude, fucking, I hate EA so much. Like, they let me down with Battlefield 2049 or 2042.
Oh, dude, you're telling me like they literally, they released the trailer for that, and they had iconic game clips as actual like aspects of the trailer. Like, hey, look at this. This is the famous clip of the dude hopping out of his fucking his plane, rocketing someone and hopping back in. And you know what they did? They released probably the hottest steaming pile of shit that any AAA FPS has ever released. Like, you get more realistic gameplay out of like Red Orchestra. Like, Tripwire does a better job than these fucking clowns that run dude. And that's a whole nother thing as well. The fact that games like Lethal Company that were made by one developer are at the top of Steam's charts, while you have these games that have billions of dollars worth of not only programming, developing, advertising, everything, and they can't hold a fucking candle to these games. Like, Pal World, Terraria, Stardew Valley is another great example where it's literally just the most basic fucking thing, but because it isn't a buggy mess, people love it. Like it's crazy to me that that's like become such a
meme.
A meme. Like, why do we have to worry about if a game release is unfinished, dude? Like, you know how much that sucks? There have been so many games in the past, like, 10 fucking years where I have been so excited for. The Walking Dead Overkill was one of them that just absolutely fucking nuked itself. And the worst part is that, like, the dev team, like, they broke up and they're just like, oops, LOL, see ya. It's like Days Gone. That game, or was it Days Gone? Yeah, it was Days Gone. No. The day before. Days Gone is good. The day before. The one that released on Steam that had the Kickstarter campaign that was like, here's this huge open world extraction zombie shooter. And then they released it. And 2 days later, the game shut down and the development team went bankrupt. Dude, I swear to God, it literally... Have you? There's like a 30-minute long video on YouTube, and I can't recommend it enough. It breaks down the entire start from like when they announced it up until when it shut down, and it is just it is a roller coaster of fucking emotions. Like, I swear to God, the game they released was literally just loaded assets. There wasn't any like custom design, any custom coding. Literally all of it was grabbed from a store and pasted into a game. And then the developers had the audacity to go, the public is just hating on it. It's like, dude, you guys are releasing a $60 game that literally doesn't even work. And you're going to say fucking cancel culture is doing it? Fuck you. Like, make a good game, dude. You wouldn't have this problem. Invest money into your fucking programmers. Pay them livable wages. It wouldn't be a problem then.
Yeah.
You know?
No, seriously.
I could rant about this for fucking ever. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Honestly, I welcome new kind of brand, like new varieties of content, or like not content. Jesus fucking Christ.
Conversation.
I'm really becoming a YouTuber. No, I always welcome different varieties and different topics onto the show, because I mean, of course, there's one thing that every guest on my show has shared so far is that they're in a band. Sometimes they're in 3, sometimes they're in 4. And then when they're not, oh my God, I'm in a band.
What? This is news? What?
Right. So like all these guests, all these appearances, they all share one thing, is that they're in a strange experimental counterculture music band that isn't nearly as big as Bring Me the Horizon, Cane Hill, fucking Sleep Token, Lorna Shore, or anything really like 2 tiers below that. And that's just the truth.
Hey,
but
hey, big things are coming, buddy. All right. Just you wait. This year is going to be our come up, okay? We're going to release one whole song. Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
You're going to get your fucking socks.
You're about to get annihilated, dude.
It's crazy.
Big dick things coming, okay? Big dick energy things coming. But also, it's always great to welcome like the other parts of the personality that make people band by band who they are. Like, dude, I've talked with Bone Carver and Heirs of Hatred from Madrid, Spain now, and like on the side, shit. Well, like they do soccer. They played soccer when they were younger, and then they got into being into one of Madrid, Spain's most prominent deathcore and or metal bands. Period. Like, also, you were mentioning Heirs of Humanity a lot earlier. I wanted to give a shout out to them because I've also hosted them on the show.
Dude. Kieran, Tyler, and Dane dude, actually they just their new bassist Brandon Chastain. He's also really fucking cool. He plays in Dream Malaysia. I believe he plays in Thutch. I could be wrong on that. But he's one of those people that like, he's super talented and he plays in a lot of different bands, but he makes it work. Same with Dane. Dane plays in a few bands. Tyler plays in a few bands. It's really fucking cool just like seeing how everyone is like connected in all these different ways through music.
It's an absolute cobweb, bro. I swear to God. And that's deep underground counterculture music. it is almost comparable to that of like a cordyceps or even fungal or even like tree-based network, right? You have all these roots kind of reaching across the ground to one another, and they're like, hey, I know who you are. And like basically deep underground counterculture, like it's literally, it works better when you call it underground, because there are so many fine lines that connect all of us together, and some of us are in 3 bands, but it's always cool to like kind of see the connections happen over time, especially as we have more guests on the show. But of course, we will get back to all the nerdy shit later, right? Because we got to talk about
I suppose we got to talk about business. That's why we're here.
But if anything,
fucking music, dude, I hate this shit.
I hate working. I don't want to work.
God damn it, I'm done.
I'm tired of this, Grandpa. Last June,
please, no more music. I can't handle it anymore.
Great, we love it. But of course, right now at this time, if I go over to Spotify, right, and I look up the monthly listener count for Surefire, just to kind of provide a little bit of context as to why we have to ask the questions that we do. Personally with you, as this will be again the first session that we're doing with Surefire. Okay, there's 1,422 monthly listeners over on Spotify, and this is Spotify monthly listeners, right? That doesn't account for the subscribers that you guys might have on your YouTube channel. That doesn't account for the people that you're friends with on Facebook, and how like that might have expanded by now. Whole bunch of different shit. But what I want to do is enact a little bit of frontman syndrome tonight, as you are the frontman of Surefire.
Jesus.
What I want you to do is go as far back as possible, kind of going past what was your more elementary level introduction, right? And I want you to go to the very, very beginning of what you feel is relevant to you being a musician, you being a fucking nerd, you being a fucking weeb, and let's go ahead and dig into your story as much as possible, and quite literally anything you do not want to disclose, communicate that accordingly, let us know accordingly where you'll be putting the walls down. Otherwise, dude, think of this as a Nat Geo interview, right? We're trying to learn about Joseph Coleman of Surefire. I'm trying to learn as much about you as possible, and I want your audience to learn as much about you as possible, because maybe these are questions they would have for you. Maybe they want to learn what makes you, where you came from, what made your city something that you cherished, maybe the reason that you moved to different cities, your comfort zone city, like all this type of shit. We want to learn about you. So go ahead and take it away, sir. Take it from the very beginning that you feel is relevant to you now becoming a vocalist, a weeb, a nerd, everything in between. Take it away, sir.
Okay, so we'll start with probably the most relevant thing. So when I started like listening to metal, and mind you, like I grew up with my grandparents, so a lot of the music that I listened to was oldies. There was a radio station, 94.9 WOLX. I remember that station by name because it literally had like the Beatles, it had Men Without Hats, it had so many good. It shaped my music taste, right? And I pride myself a lot on being very open with like the music I listen to. And don't get me wrong, there are a few genres that like I listen that I don't like actively listen to, but I don't like hate any genre of music, if that makes sense. Like Slam, for example. I love watching Slam live, but listening to Slam like through recordings is just not something that I like super enjoy. Mainly because like I like the emotional drive behind not only lyrics but instrumental as well. Which is one of the reasons that Slam and I don't like super click well, because like you have Slam, which is a lot of and like it sounds cool as fuck, and it's so fun watching people get their shit kicked in pits at Slam shows. But it's not something that I like will proactively listen to. I will say though that like the only like Slam band that I do know like offhand is Peeling Flesh, and those guys are like actually really fucking good. I loved Strangled too. There's another band that I won't name that I also used to fuck with. And I used to as well. I don't listen to them as much anymore, and when they come through, I usually skip them, and it sucks because I really fucking loved that EP, dude. Like, genuinely, like Porcelain, fucking the lyrics behind it, the emotion between the two vocalists, it hit. But that's a different topic for a different day. I don't want to talk about problematic things very much, just because, you know, some people do and don't disagree, you know.
Yes.
But so yeah, my music taste, I can actually hold on, let me pull up my my Spotify real quick. I think I actually have my first playlist I made on Spotify. So a lot of the music that I started off with was a lot of like EDM and dance. Because I did martial arts for like 10 years. And so when I like would compete, because I competed through the North American Sports Karate Association, or the NASCA circuit. And they had like musical contemporary forms, traditional forms, weapon forms, all those things. But no, a lot of people were like using like Tut Tut Child, Pegboard Nerds, Cruella for that stuff. And by the way, I missed Cruella never like died off, but like once Rain Man got booted from the band because he did shitty things, like the whole sound of the band changed, which sucked. But you know, you gotta focus on the good things, not the bad things. Otherwise, you're just gonna be a sad sack of shit all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, so looking at this right now, it looks like it was Avenged Sevenfold. It was Zomboy, a lot of Demon Hunter.
Zomboy, bro.
Dude, I used to listen to so much Demon Hunter because they were a good mix of like harsh vocals and clean vocals. And don't get me wrong, like I love Disturbed, I love Bullet for My Valentine. But I think Avenged Sevenfold and Demon Hunters were actually like the first like two metal bands that I really sunk my teeth into. I spent a whole week learning the lyrics to A Little Piece of Heaven just because I loved listening to it so much. So when I was working at Subway as a kid, like when we were closing, I'd plug my aux in and I would literally listen to that song on loop because it's like 6 minutes long. So I could just cue it up 3 times and then I'd be fucking done cleaning and I could just vibe out the whole time, you know? But yeah, so the whole reason I got into like heavy music is my friend Tyrell actually. She got me into Emure at the time. Suicide Silence, Thy Art Is Murder was a big one. I remember listening to Hate for the first time, and I was just like, people make these noises? Like this is real, this is human. And then it just kind of just like built up from there. I started listening to a lot of metalcore. Let's see if I can find that playlist actually. I have a playlist called Sing Along, and it looks like it was made in 2018. It consists of Demon Hunter, Parkway Drive, Slipknot, Beartooth. I love Beartooth, by the way. I think their new record is like one of the... Dude, I swear to God, Riptide is a beautiful fucking record. And at first, the first time I listened to it, I was like, I don't really know if I like this, because a lot of it was like da, 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 you know. It wasn't like it wasn't disgusting, it wasn't aggressive, it wasn't it wasn't disease, you know. And Below as well, by the way. I think Below is my favorite heavy record, but except for Disgusting. I mean, obviously nothing is going to top Disgusting from Beartooth, because that album is so raw, like lyrically, scream wise, instrumentally. That album is like genuinely one of my favorites of all time. I could go on and on about Beartooth. A lot of my friends that I grew up with, Buried Tomorrow was actually the first big metalcore band that I got into.
Really?
Yeah, dude, I swear to God, the first what was it, Portraits? They don't have it on Spotify anymore because it sucks, because they had a song called Relief, and that's what I would practice singing to when I was younger. That album came out in, what was it, like 2010 or some shit? Like it's an old record, and like, damn, dude, these guys have been around for that long. That's fucking crazy. Yeah. They're still putting out records too. I hope that I get to do that. I don't want to be someone that like just makes music for like 5 years and then burns out and quits. I hope this is something that I continue to do.
Dude, I'm planning at least 10 records.
At least 10 records. That is a good goal. Yeah. Are they EPs or are they LPs? That's the question.
That's a very good question. I would say I'm at least planning to release 10 full-length records, and then very similar to some buddies of mine, I want to release EPs in between, and I also want to release albums on the side that are basically secondary efforts. That way, if the newer material isn't good, we also have like passion projects on the side.
Yes.
So like really, really, really fun collaborative shit. I want to do splits really bad. I want to basically go Victims level as far as collaborations, because I'm all about having features, and I think it's really, really cringy when people are like, no, we don't really want to like reach out or, you know, collaborate with bands or really do features anymore. I'm like, what the fuck? How are you going to network then?
Like, no, I think that, and I don't want to say too much about it because like we're still in the process of doing this, but we're doing something like that with Surefire where we are a couple of our homies we're like doing split songs with them. So like kind of how Alpha Wolf did their split EP with God, I don't remember the name, Hotel. You know which one I'm talking about.
Yeah, I
don't follow Alpha Wolf like that.
That's okay. I like
Holding
it.
Absence.
Yeah, there you go. Good shit.
I was thinking of Hotel Underground. I don't know why I thought that was the name of the record.
Hotel
but
California.
I think that split records like that and like collaborating on songs like that are really cool because you get to take two styles of two different bands that people probably really fucking like, and you get to make your own unique sound out of it.
Yep.
And I wish more bands would do it. Like I understand, like if you're in a label or you're under a booking, like a management company, I understand how that would be a very hard thing to do. Take Joe Bad's case, for example, with Big Six, and how like Nuclear Blast just completely cocked that fucking project. And I feel bad because, you know, there are like situations where like my friends and I have wanted to work on things and we can't because the record would charge us out of the ass just to have their name next to ours on a fucking song. And I found that out as well, actually, recently. A lot of the time that artists charge these really high rates, it's not because like they are charging out the ass for their time. It's because their label has a quote that they have to take from their cut. So and obviously it differs between people, between record labels, but there's a feature that we were going to work with that is $1,000, and that it's not a lot really. Like in the grand scheme of things, there are people that do thousands of dollars. I believe Tom Barber and Darius Tirani are like $3,000. I know Darius is like $3,000, which is just in fucking insane. But the thing is he's on Rise Records. Like that's going to be expected because Rise Records is going to take either a cut or they're going to take a portion and be like, hey, if you make this much, you have to pay us this much for the rights to actually have, you know, Spite's name or Darius Tirani's name on the actual like feature on Spotify. And it's crazy. Stuff works like that. Like I was talking to Taylor and I was like, dude, like when we do this split record, like I would fucking love to do that. And Taylor was like, dude, that sounds like a great idea, but I have to pass that through my label company. So
as in Barber?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And it sucks because like it'd be nice to just hit someone up and be like, yeah, dude, this is fucking awesome. Let's do this. But music is gatekept, and it's gatekept by the people at the top. And it's not the artists, it's not the musicians, it's not the bands, it's not the people that run merch, it's the people that own these companies that just go out of their way just to fucking gatekeep each other. And it's terrible.
Yeah.
Like it genuinely sucks. Like
no.
You'll see people that will go, oh man, dude, $20 for a local show. It's like if you have 5 bands on the bill, that's what, $4 or $5 per band. Like that it doesn't, like, it's really not a lot. You know, if you pack a venue with 300 people at $15-20, bands are going to walk away with a good amount of cheese. But it's like, still though, people will complain about, oh, you know, $20, $30 for a local show, but then they'll pay like $80 to $100 to go and see a band right down the road.
Exactly.
And it's not it, and my point with this, by the way, it's not the difference between local and national shows. It's the fact that the reason that they are so expensive is it's not because of the bands charging it for their actual travel costs, for their merch, because believe me, merch when you get it printed is expensive. Like when you first get it printed, it is expensive. Depending on what you actually pay for the print costs, you usually make double to triple what you actually put into the merch. Like if we were to put about $1,500 like into merch, which is what our like most recent order was, it was 4 short sleeve designs and a couple long sleeves. It's like $1,700-$1,800. We're gonna make like 5, 6, 7 grand like actual profit. You know, not full profit, but you know, that's how much we'll actually make after like reselling them and everything.
Yeah.
And then of course you have the company that will take the profit from the merch cuts as well. And it's just like there are so many of like my friends and people that I know, and like I try not to use like my friends like as like a homie thing, because like I'm very much against like calling someone my homie unless I like regularly talk or hang out with them. But if you know my friends and a few of the people that I've talked to, it's like they still like, even though they're touring full time, are still like barely living when they're not in tour, because if they aren't getting a fat fucking tour paycheck, then they're just shit out of luck, because like not everyone can be blessed with having a job that will allow them to take time off for tours. Like the job that I'm at right now, you know, I'm very fortunate that it's very small and it's very like it's family run, so I can be like, hey, I need time off, can you give me this? And they don't have a problem with it. If I were to say that about my old job that I was at, which was run by Kroger, they would not let me fucking do that, because like they can't afford to have someone off like that, when in realistic it's nothing about that. They just don't want to deal with fucking letting someone leave and go and do their shit when they can be making them money. But getting back to the whole like music thing, because I will literally talk your ears off for hours and hours, and I'm trying to do better at that. That's one of the reasons actually like we didn't do the podcast for as long as we did, is because I'm trying to get better at not just like going off on like different tangents on things that are completely irrelevant. But I know you don't mind. Obviously, if you did, you would say something, I hope.
I did. I would. I'd be like, hey, fuck up. We got questions to answer. Like, no, it's good for insight. For me, it's really good for insight. And that's actually one of the many purposes of this show, is to authentically and very like nonchalantly get bits and pieces from smaller bands and giant bands about the dirty secrets of the counterculture music industry. Now, of course, this isn't a podcast that is meant to discourage any artist from signing onto any record labels. Like, that's not what I'm here to do. But what I am here to do is basically provide the same kind of level of retaliation and healthy retaliation that Alpha Wolf did that made headlines last year, right? With the merch cuts, just fucking speaking up about something, right? Because I know I was oblivious to that shit, and I've been trying to get into becoming a part of a touring band for years now. So for me, it's very, very important that whether it be smaller bands or bigger bands, even fucking producers, or getting in touch with actual record label CEOs. Like right now, the biggest goal right now would be Jamie Graham of Unique Leader Records, because I'm wanting to get my project on that label so fucking bad one day. But then I hear all these stories about record labels in general, and how there are still very, very bad things about certain contracts that royally fuck musicians and artists over. So I do not mind at all. Short answer, I do not mind at all.
I'm going to speak on that for a second. So I can't talk too much about actual labels, and like, I've never been on a label. I can't speak on that. However, I will say it sucks being independent, but dude, I swear to God, nothing feels better knowing that you packed out a show or you booked a tour by yourself and it goes well. Like there are so many, like, realistically, the only thing you really need a record label for is distribution, which is covered by TikTok and it's covered by Meta ads now. Like you can literally do that by yourself. And there are bands like Glass Waves that take advantage of that and have gotten their numbers up where they're at because they know how to use the algorithm. And I think that a misconception nowadays with people is that, oh, I need to rush to get on a label. I need to rush to get on a booking agency. Dude, as long as you are a genuine person, I promise you the people that you talk to in your local scene and the surrounding local scenes will want to work with you. Like I can't speak on the bad people because I personally don't know anyone that like hates us. Obviously there are going to be a few people here and there that dislike us and won't book us, but it's beef that I don't know about, so I really couldn't care less about, you know? But as long as you are being genuine with the people around you and you're not trying to just like honey dick people to like get on their good side, as long as you are just trying to, as long as you have good interest in mind for everyone. People will want to work with you, and it'll be super easy to book shows and tours. Like this tour that we have with Weeping Moon come up, I booked that myself, and I literally so. The tour with Still Stare we played at Amsterdam Hall, which is in Minnesota. I got the contact from that promoter when we were there. We played at Lefty's Live Music on that tour. I got the contact from the promoter there. The WC Social Club, that's 2 hours away from us, so that's super easy for us to book. And then obviously you have the Annex in Madison, which Jake Olson runs, which is Midwest Mix Up. And dude, he does a really good job actually with booking. He doesn't just do like metal shows. He does a lot of alternative and like rap and a lot of EDM stuff. So like people like that, especially, I think are very important to have in music and in local music scenes that aren't just trying to be like, this is what I want, this is the only thing I can get. Like we've played, I think 3 mixed genre shows, and I'm going to be honest with you, mixed genre shows are the most fun you will ever have, like playing music.
You truly get it right.
Like I swear to God, dude. And like it's not only good from like, hey, this is variety, but I guarantee you those people that support this person have never heard of you, have never heard of your music. They don't listen to your music. But when you play live and you give a good impression on someone, dude, word of mouth goes so much further than actually like passing a link to someone on social media or tagging them and shit. If you are actually like trying to just get your name out there, book mixed genre shows. I can't speak. I swear to God.
No, that definitely seems to be the way to go, because when you can get onto a major festival like Warped Tour, when it used to exist back in the day, when you can, seriously, I hope it comes back here soon. Just like, not during the fucking summer, because here in Phoenix, the summer, like you might as well have a heat stroke and die after going to Warped Tour. Shit's awful. But when you're not able to get onto a festival, when you're not able to get onto such a massive varietal lineup, what's really good instead is to have a show, have a lineup of different bands that are extravagantly different.
Yes.
And I think the Silent Planet's Super Bloom tour recently that came through town,
I think that's really cool. I really like Necrogoblicon's tour that they just did with Baby Metal and fucking Deathlock. I think that is super fucking cool. By the way, congratulations to Dickie for that. Like,
congrats, dude.
That is, and not only him getting into Necrogoblicon as a full-time vocalist, but like playing with Baby Metal, dude.
That's gonna be fun.
Like, that is an accomplishment. Like Baby Metal is like, dude, Baby Metal is like catastrophically huge in Japan. Like it's fucking crazy how big they are. Like I don't know if this is a good comparison, but Baby Metal is like the equivalent size-wise of what Metallica is in the United States. Like they are fucking huge. I'm going off on tangents again. I apologize.
You're good.
But I think getting back to the whole what got me into music, what started it all for me. Tyrell got me into the heavy music, and then being in martial arts, like I did a lot of like Kai screaming. So like another thing is people will ask me like how I like generate my tone when I scream, and it is extremely aggressive fry. Like it is literally like breathing out. Yeah. Oh, it's literally like just it's very aggressive, and I try not to like teach people how to do it because it's extremely easy to blow your voice out doing it. But that's what got me into like actually wanting to be a vocalist, because like I wanted to do music in general, but I was like, hey, I have all this experience already screaming, I might as well start doing this. And it wasn't actually until like 4 years ago that I started doing actual like clean singing lessons, because I didn't understand the importance of actually being able to learn where your soft palate is, like where your voice actually resides when you it's very important to have that, because if you don't, it is much harder to articulate your words when you scream. But yeah, so martial arts, Tyrell, Let's get into, do you want to talk about how Surefire was started? Because I think that was the next question you had.
Right. Like so that was definitely one of the questions in part 2, right? So,
oh shit.
Yeah, essentially what goes on, what I do is I'll, in the first half of the session, I'll kind of have you talk as much about your history as possible as a person. And then that's like the David Attenborough, that's the Nat Geo, that's the meme. But then in the next half, we basically would be questioning you as if you were Surefire. And that would like really just kind of depersonalize you. How did the band name get decided? What's the meaning behind it? How many members have you cycled in and out of the project? Like those types of questions. And then like so that would basically be for part 2. So more or less, gotcha. I mean, you discussed where you went when you were younger. You discussed how you got into heavy music. What were like some of the most prominent parts of your upbringing when it came to getting into creative mediums, or possibly even what are some motivations? What are some things that kind of helped you keep pushing forward as far as a musician, as far as a vocalist, like maybe any specific people? Because I remember you mentioned a couple friends. You mentioned that you got into a couple bands like Demon Hunter. You were first in the EDM, and then you went through all these different genre radical transitions. You eventually got to the point of listening to the genres that you now contribute to or are attempting to contribute to with Surefire. So if anything, like as a vocalist, right? Because that's really, at this point, that's all really anybody knows you for in Surefire specifically. So
the frogs, Sean, you can't forget the frogs, man.
Exactly. Not the you can't forget the frogs. Exactly. If anything, like maybe did you do anything instrumentally speaking early on that you just ended up not devoting to because vocals were easier? Were you ever like curious about other venues or other creative mediums in the world that you're now trying to dive headfirst into? Like, tell us a little bit about that. If there are any other forks in the road per se that you ran across briefly.
So when I was younger, like I said, I did martial arts for a period of time. I got into gymnastics and tricking, and tricking is like, it's a mix between martial arts and gymnastics, so it's less of the actual acrobatics and more of the form with acrobatics. And for a while, that's what I wanted to do. Like I wanted to actually like go to school to be a stunt double, to learn how to do all these like really fucking cool things, because like I had the agility to do it. I had the, you know, the talent to do it. I guess you would call it. I don't know. I hate using the word talent, but like acrobatics have always like been easy for me, and in my age they definitely have like faded out, and I've come to realize that I'm a rock. I'm a fucking walking rock. I have no buoyancy to me whatsoever.
Oh my gosh.
But so I wanted to do that, and I ended up stopping when I was like 17 or 18 because I started working full time. This is going to sound just absolutely terrible. Like it is the worst thing you are probably ever going to hear someone on your podcast say. But okay. I wanted to play League of Legends professionally. And I actually I devoted a lot of time to it as a kid. And I had like an actual borderline addiction to it, which is just terrible. And I'm happy that I recognize that. Because like, I swear to God, from like season 5 to season 9, I would average like 1,000 ranked games every year, and that wasn't even including like normal games or ARAMs or like rotating game modes that would come through. So I literally would I'd get off work, I would come home, hop in, call with my friends, and play League of Legends. And then before Surefire, like literally right before I started like pushing down like the actual like musician pathway, because I started that, I want to say like 5 years ago, like as an actual like, hey, I want to do this, not as just like a hey, let's scream as like a pastime thing.
Yeah.
I was talking to someone that coached League of Legends, and I was actually like in the process of building like an organization with them, like an actual like tournament organization to, you know, coach people to, you know, basically like it would have built up to like be like a remote job. Like I had an actual like salary and everything. But I didn't have the mental capacity to do it at the time because I was going through some really bad shit. and I ended up not doing it. And that at that point in my life, that was the second or third endeavor that I have like really like pushed towards that I literally just like lost interest in. And it sucks, but things happen like that, you know. Everyone has hobbies or interests that they really love doing for a few years that just phase out. And that's it took me the longest time to realize that's normal, you know. It's not an effect of like burnout. It's not an effect of like not being happy with yourself. It's like you're meant to go through phases on things, regardless if it's through music, if it's hobbies, if it's your own personal endeavors. You're always going to be going through changes, and you know, your road will always split down different paths. Not to get like philosophical or anything, but you know, I ended up not doing that. And I actually, in my Google Drive, I still have the spreadsheets and like everything. Like I had everything fucking organized and good to go still. But I think right before COVID is when I was like, I actually want to like start playing on stage, because the show that I went to was I don't remember who all was on the bill, but I do know that Chelsea Grin and Spite were on the bill. And it was like 2016 or 2017, I want to say, when this came through at the rave. Tyrell had her nose broken during Spite's pit, and that was the first time where I was like, wow, this is really fucking cool. Obviously I felt really bad for Tyrell, but you know, it's just like that was my first time where like watching Darius on stage, I was like, that's what I want to do. Like I want to get on stage and I want to scream at people and I want them to thank me for it. Like that sounds fucking sick. And so at that point I started practicing more, and then right, I think 2019 or 2020 is when I hit up Tyrell and Nick, and I was like, hey, let's start doing music, because Tyrell plays guitar, Nick plays bass, and I do vocals. We just had to find a drummer. But we'll get more into that when we do the second part of the interview, because you know, I want to save that stuff for last, because there's definitely a lot of lore with this band, like up to the actual band taking off. That's really good. Exactly. But yeah, so like I'm gonna like speak on something really quick that I think is super duper important, partially regarding like starting a band and wanting to be a musician. There is going to be a lot of failure before you actually find your footing in whatever you're going to do, regardless of if you are unhappy with how your vocals sound, how your vocal mixes sound, the aspect of finding a drummer, because I fucking know how hard that is. It's terrible. And every band that hits me up like, hey man, we're looking for members, it's like, what are you looking for? Drummer. It's like, just learn how to program, dude. No one fucking drums anymore anyways. That's a joke. Don't take that seriously. Drummers are needed, because having someone that knows how to program versus someone that plays drums is in two entirely different things. It is a like huge fucking difference. There is so much music theory and experience that they have that someone that just knows how to program won't have in most cases. But you know, it takes a lot to actually keep wanting to do this when you first start off, and I see it a lot in my timeline and like in like groups like deathcore, metalcore fans, deathcore snobs, metal vocalist community especially is one of them, where people will feel like they are just completely plateaued and they're not going anywhere. And the thing is that even if you feel like no one is watching you, I promise you there is at least one person that like looks into those groups and goes, hey, I know this person, I've seen them before. There's this one guy, I believe his name is Austin Wu, but he's in the metal vocalist community. Like there's like a group chat for it and everything. And every like, I think it's like 5 a.m. every day, because he lives somewhere like on the other half of the world. He posts videos of him just like doing vocal stuff. And like, I've literally watched this dude going from like someone that like you can hear strain in their voice to actually sounding really fucking clean. And I love that aspect of like being a vocalist more than anything else, is watching someone like develop their own tone and sound and really like fit into their own shoes, because a lot of people, and myself included, don't get me wrong, and I still do this, everyone has influences, everyone is going to like want to sound like someone.
Yep.
But I promise you, no matter how hard you try, you will never be able to sound exactly like someone, because everyone's vocal box is different.
Yep.
Yep. But that being said, it's not a bad thing to take inspiration and influences from other people. Right. However, what you should do is you should take the time to actually learn like where your comfort range is with that specific scream, and then build your tone around that. A lot of people think that it's just like some like natural thing that comes overnight where it's like, oh, this is how I sound, this is great. Like there will be like months, if not years, that it takes to actually like figure out what is comfortable for you, what sits in that like comfort range of like, is this too much, is this too little? And it feeds into what I was saying before. You're going to want to quit a lot, especially as a vocalist, because there are so fucking many people that want to be vocalists, because it's the cheapest thing to get into, and it's the easiest thing to learn how to do. But the thing that will set you apart more than anyone else is the amount of drive and dedication that you have going into the stuff that you are doing. Yep. No one cares if you sound really fucking good. No one cares if you sound really fucking bad. The only thing that matters to most people is that you are consistent and that you show progress in what you are doing. And I think if I would have known that at a younger age, I would be much further in my own vocal journey than what I already am. And I wish I would have had that kind of advice, because I definitely would have saved a few vocal blowouts growing up. But that being said, it is worth it. Like it is 1,000% worth it. Like even though that it is expensive, it's stressful, it takes up time, dude, I promise you, nothing feels better than getting off stage after you run a set that feels like the best set you've ever done. And it's every show you're like, this is the best set, no, this is the best set, no, this is the fucking best set. Like it literally just like it's like runner's high. It's just one of those things where it hits you and then it makes you want more, and you keep going and you keep going and you keep pushing to a point where you eventually start, you know, doing content on the side, or you start doing covers or one takes, or you start a podcast, or you start doing graphic design. And then that branches out into so many different things. Like just being a vocalist is great. But if you can take that time and just put it into one other thing, that will open more doors for you than any amount of vocal cover or one takes will do for you. The smartest people that are in the music industry, and this is probably me speaking out of my ass if I'm going to be frank, because I can't speak on everyone. However, I will say the people that are smart, that know what they're doing, that have full-time music careers, aren't just musicians. They're doing graphic design. They're running merch for people on tours. They're helping out. Yep. Swear to God. And that's another thing as well. If you can, like, even if it's a local band, right? If you can find a local band that wants a merch person and you stick with them through, they will recommend you to other bands. And then if you are even in a band yourself, those people that you run merch for will now know who you are, and they will know what your music is, because I swear to God, it'll get brought up. There's no way that you are running a tour with someone and they don't ask, hey man, what do you do in your free time? You know? You just have to be hungry. Like that's it. Just be hungry. Just
you have to have
more.
an appetite, and you have to be consistently hungry.
Yes.
Because, you know, if you claim the appetite, but then basically you're crying wolf regarding the appetite, you never actually feed upon anything. And maybe even you're like freaking overweight, you're obese with a false sense of gluttony of just wanting to constantly feed, but not utilizing the energy from that to do anything productive. Well, I mean, either you're going to look like a fucking crackhead, you're going to look like the opposite end of the spectrum, basically feeding off of nothing, and then you're going to scare the shit out of somebody, or you're going to be, you know, obese because you're overfeeding. You're trying to freaking leech off,
oversaturating yourself. Yeah.
Exactly. Like, dude, I am actually kind of grateful that Sean Cross and the Anatomy podcast so far, and even Blind Without Our Failures, has been so incredibly snail paced. I've been thinking about that a lot recently, because I see how how our world kind of works, right? And the more bands I have, the more I get it confirmed, really, over time. Just all these little bits and pieces about what we do and what we're having to do on a constant daily basis to survive. And for example, you quite a bit of time ago, you mentioned having a job that is understanding, that is quote family run. I have been lucky enough.
It's a dime and a dozen, dude. It's literally
seriously, it is very, very rare that you end up getting with a company, getting with the job that allows you to basically be paid for being a YouTuber without being paid for being a YouTuber. And that's basically what I've been doing the last 3 years without definitely realizing it, but like just being hungry for more, but then basically throwing the food away. I did that for a long time, people. And ever since I got back with my old job, like things I'm making YouTube, or Jesus, I'm making money doing YouTube. And now not only that, but now I've got a co-host. And of course, unfortunately in this session as well, he's not with us as he is preparing to travel out to one of 2 of the mental cruelty of Sulfur shows Beyond the Eternal. He's traveling to 2 different dates. And he's actually going to be doing vocals with them for King of Fire, which is going to be super fucking sick. Shout out to Finn the Orc King. The guy's a legend.
Wait, I think is his name like the Orc King on Facebook? Yeah, I know who that is. I recognize that name. He's like one of the only people on my thing that has like these really cool fucking tattoos who has like a really cool name on Facebook.
Yep, he's been the co-host. He's going to be the co-host for the show going into this year. And what's really cool is he's going to try and secure us an interview with Sulfur and Mental Cruelty alike. I mean, we've already had Chase Wilson on the show. But because of just certain like pre-qualifying variables and stuff, and because of his connections with Mental Cruelty and of Sulfur alike, well, he'll be expanding upon what we've already brought to the show, which is really cool, as well as other things that I'm not going to mention. But you know, we also alluded to it in the fucking co-pilot 24 episode 66.
Pilot.
Yeah.
Mouthful of words. Speaking of mouthful of words, actually, do you know what the longest word in the English dictionary is?
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Actually, it's monomicroscopic silicovolcanoconiosis, and it's a disease that you get for breathing in volcanic sulfur. But my favorite one is hepatomonstrosesquipedaliophobia, which is the phobia of long words, and I think that's fucking hilarious. It's like one of my favorite dad jokes.
So someone needs to make a fucking band name with the first one that you mentioned, like
Javleg. Dude, Javleg. They already did it.
That's true, huh?
Dude, they have like, dude, I swear to God, their name is like abbreviated like 87 letters, but their actual band name is like thousands of characters. It's fucking awesome.
Well, I mean, that definitely milks upon the meme, but what I mean is more specifically the suffocation by breathing in volcanic sulfur or whatever.
Monomicroscopic volcanoconiosis.
Yeah, like, dude, imagine someone just starts a project based off of that, and it's like the most freaking. It's like it makes Nithful look like fucking Creed or something. Like, I love the voice of Nithful.
Can you take me higher? Come on, man.
With arms wide open.
We love Nithful and we love Creed.
Yes, we definitely love Nithful. Shout out to them. We still need to get them back on the show to talk about their new the full-length album version of their first EP that they released. And I want to get like not just fucking Derek, like I love you, Derek, but I want to get the rest of the boys on the show too. I want to get Nick Saya of fucking Downtune Productions. I want to get fucking Deegan. I want to get like all the boys, absolutely all the boys. None of this frontman syndrome bullshit with Nithful anymore, okay, Derek? Just kidding. I love you, buddy.
I thought it was pronounced Nightfall for the longest time. Oh, there's my cat's leg. Look at that.
Hey, look at that leg. Little things get. Love that. So I mean, you know, more or less, we're continuing to piece together your lore, and usually by the tail end, no pun intended, of what is the people part of the podcast for the Anatomy podcast. One thing I usually try to do is basically have you do 5 different albums, EPs, singles, artists, or people that have like really helped you forge your path in Surefire. But you know what? I want to do something a little bit different because I forgot to do this with fucking Finn the Orc King for our 2024 co-pilot pilot. What I want to do instead, bro, is I want to go ahead and get your top 10 albums of 2023.
Oh God, that is a fucking hard one. Okay. So I'm gonna be 100% real with you.
Yeah.
I don't pay attention to release dates, so I could.
That's fine.
If you let me do within like 2020 up until now, I can do that. But like, I don't. Yeah. Like, okay. So
your top 10 for the 2020s so far. There you go.
Do you want it in order or do you just want 10?
Yeah, just go ahead if you can remember. As far as placement order.
Okay, so
from 10.
I think number I'm gonna work my way down, going from 1 because I think that's a little bit easier.
I mean, I guess, but that's like
all right, fine. I'll go the other way. Okay. So, fuck, I gotta think. You're making me think of 10 albums. 10 albums, dude. That's like more than 9. Like, holy shit. Okay.
You got me at the double digits, man. You hit me with your fucking digits, man. Oh my
so
God. This dude is not
say
this podcast. Like,
okay, so this is a hard question.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm going to do the first 7 in no particular order, but I'm going to give you my top 3. How about that? Because I think that'll be a little bit easier for me to do because I'm a little stupid sometimes when it comes to... Okay, so I really enjoyed Dawn FM by The Weeknd. I love that fucking record. I recently got into The Weeknd like 2-3 years ago, and his whole discography to me is just like fire. Like, there isn't a single song that I will not vibe out to on his discog.
Okay.
So Dawn FM is up there. Lost in the Waves by Landmarks, another one that is way up there for me. Z2 by The Devil Wears Prada. I think that is the best. That is the best case scenario of sequel to Zombie EP, because Zombie EP is still one of my favorite metalcore records of all time. Like, I listened to that record more times as a kid than I think any other metalcore record of that time. And you'll find that as a common occurrence because Devil Wears Prada is in this list twice. Because one, Midwest emo, gotta love that shit.
Dude, honestly, I wanted to bring this up briefly. I forgot his name. I'm sorry. Shout out to that dude. Simply said.
That one guy, bro.
That one guy that he's one of the guitarists for Cell, but he's also a really, really big fan of The Devil Wears Prada. And he also named, I think, 2 or 3 different placements from The Devil Wears Prada on his top 5 when we were doing him. When we were featuring him on the Cell edition of the Anatomy podcast. Scandalous.
Jesus Christ. No, but Devil Wears Prada has been one of those bands that has been consistent through the years. I think there isn't a single record from them that I dislike. I will tell you though that in my top 3, Color Decay is easily number 3. Like, within that 10 album. Yes. I have a vinyl of the deluxe edition in my room. I'm not a vinyl person. Dude, I'm not a vinyl person by any means. Like, I don't collect or anything. Look at my cat. Look at him go. There he goes. Like, I don't collect by any means, but that record is so fucking good. I have cried more times, and don't be ashamed to cry. It's okay to cry.
It's okay if you're mad and you cry. Okay, I know I cry almost every day.
When my tear ducts give issue, and I need a good tissue. Whatever SpongeBob said that one time. But no, Color Decay is number 3, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed A Tear in the Fabric of Life. By Knocked Loose. I think that regardless of whether or not you are a fan of their early stuff versus their new stuff, I think that we can all admit that Knocked Loose within that EP and the Deep in the Willow singles has created its own sound that is not metalcore, but also not just hardcore. Like it's like cinematic hardcore, I guess, in a way. Like it is beautiful. Like it is instrumentally beautiful, lyrically beautiful, everything about it, everything about Knock Loose's new stuff, even their old stuff, is just fire. So definitely putting that in my top 10. Number 2. Okay. We're gonna do number 2 because I just came across it. A Gradual Decline in Morale by Kim Dracula. And I know that this is a really hot take, but I think that Kim Dracula is one of the most talented vocalists in mainstream metal / dark trap right now. And I think that this record does a really good job of showing that, not only from his standpoint of being a vocalist, but also his standpoint of being a producer and a writer. Because there are so many songs, and I think specifically Reunion and Reintegration, there's a call out line before some slam vocals that's, guess who, you fucking imbeciles, next time you see me you better fucking run. And the lyrics behind the EE are like, look at this great office space. Like it's just the dumbest thing, but it's great. It's fun. I listened to that record more times than I think any other record as of recent.
Okay, fair enough.
Volume 5 by Victims. But I'm biased.
Dude, I wish I liked it more than I did.
You don't like it that much? What's wrong with it?
It's actually my least favorite Victims record.
No.
I feel so bad saying that. For me, it's still Halfway Happy. Like
that's fair. Halfway Happy is their best record. I think for me personally, I would put Halfway Happy, then Volume 5, then Volume 4, then Volume 1, then Volume 2. I wasn't super big into Volume 2, but Volume 4 is also another record on that top 10.
The Ache is really, really good.
Yep. That whole record, honestly, dude, Meredith and John do not miss when it comes to writing lyrics.
Yep.
Same with Boundaries. I am huge into Boundaries. Fun fact about that band, actually, and I don't know if you knew this, but in the album art for Hartford County Misery, it is a purple color corrected image of someone blowing their head off with a shotgun.
Whoa, what the fuck?
Go look at it. No, seriously, go look at it.
I'm looking at it right now.
I found that out.
I'll have one of these podcast moments because I'm at that point in the show. We'll go ahead and pull it up right here on screen. Yeah. Okay.
Dude, I've told that to so many people and they're like, I don't believe you. And then I show it to them. It's literally him like with a shotgun like this, like against the wall, and his head is like split open. Fucked.
Okay, so
I believe it's Hartford County Misery.
Hartford County Misery.
Yep, it's Hartford County Misery.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's terrible.
I can
it's terrible, isn't it?
Let's pull this up though. Oh my god. Okay.
It's fucking terrible.
So that's like God damn. Okay.
Yeah, they made that as their fucking album art, dude.
They brought some of that fucking mayhem energy to this show. Okay. Oh my god. Well, now we know that. Though, that's another band that does not miss. My number 1 is actually Burying Brightness by Boundaries. That's such a good fucking album.
I cannot put into words how excited I am for this next record because they are one of those bands that has very slowly marinated over time. And with every single release that they put out, it gets better.
Yep.
Like My Body in Bloom has some of my favorite metalcore riffs in it. But then you have Your Receding Warmth. And the reason I love that record so fucking much it tells a story. And then at the very end of the record, it has a song that writes a poem about each of the songs on the record and talks about what each of those songs mean. But it's in the form of a poem. Listen, I wish I could write that good. Like, I pride myself somewhat, not so much on Holehearted stuff, but the newer stuff.
Yeah.
I love the lyrics on it. But I can't, for the life of me, hit the same level of poetry that Matt hits when he writes lyrics. There is something about the amount of just pain and sadness in the stuff that he writes, especially in Resent and Regret, dude. That whole fucking song, I believe that's the one where the chorus is, to be summarized in terms and phases, to not be special, to not be different, to not be a definition. I was afraid of pills. I was afraid of help. I do anything to admit that I wasn't killing myself. I think that is the most, like, the saddest fucking line I have ever heard in a fucking metallic hardcore, metalcore, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Whatever genre they are. That is the saddest line I have ever fucking read. And part of that is because of like the self correlation that I have with that. But another thing with it is just like, there are so many songs in that record that they are just fucking sad. Like Resent and Regret, No One Will Mourn You Here. It Begins to Speak. I think my favorite song on that record, though, is easily Burying Brightness or The Tower. I think The Tower is really cool.
Tower is so
because of that interlude. That interlude into the really heavy deathcore ending is so fucking cool, dude.
It's very interesting. I remember because I did a front to back session for that. This is the same way I did for the Holehearted EP for Surefire. And I remember like being caught off guard. I'm like, is there more?
Is it done?
And I'm like sitting there for 5 minutes. I'm like, well, there's a big gap. Well, what am I waiting for? And I'm like, dude, I'm like half asleep. I got gamer subs in. I've been vaping a good chunk, but I'm still like about to fall asleep. And then boom, I'm like, oh shit. I'll link you the video. It's fucking funny. I'm just like, oh, it was so good, and that definitely woke me up. But such a good record. I am so ready for this next album, and it is the one time in such a long time that I've been so incredibly okay with such a minimalistic design for the album cover. For me, it's either, especially if you're a deathcore band, if you're a slamming deathcore band, if you're a beatdown band, if you're a hardcore band, whatever. I usually prefer my albums to either be one image that you can utilize in marketing, very similar to what Wage War does, right? For Pressure, it was the diamond. For Deadweight, it was the gateway. For Blueprints, it was their emblem. For Manic, it's the face cracked open with the hands reaching out of it or whatever. It's very important to me that
I love that record, dude. Manic was so good.
It was my least favorite, not gonna lie, but it's still pretty good.
That's fair. I do think their first record, I think the one with Southbound on it is my favorite.
Southbound, that's Deadweight. That's still my favorite record. Pressure was really experimental, but I really like Deadweight. Yeah. I want because I know they're going to be releasing a new album this year. What I'm wanting is as much experimentation as Pressure, but for the most part, a consistent level of heaviness from either Blueprints or Deadweight. That's all I want. Manic didn't really do that for me. Manic was cool. The title track was, it was basically Bad Omens level, Sleep Token level, EDM mixed with metalcore. It got pretty heavy for a little bit. I liked the lyrical theme, but Manic just didn't really stick with me the same way that any of the records prior did. So I'm really hoping that they continue to kind of embrace synth without make them suffer, without being any of the other formula metalcore bands of today. I want to hear more experimentation from Cody as far as his vocal capabilities, because he's been the really one. Like he's been like really high. He has a very signature vocal spectrum, but I want to hear that fucker scream again, just like he did in Blueprints.
Yes, I agree.
I'm so tired of it. I'm so tired. Like obviously, I can't be mad at them because at the end of the day, what they decided is what they decided. And if they're on Fearless Records, they have hella pressure because Fearless Records was one of the premier, it was one of the blockbuster record labels when you saw the Warped Tour lineup. When you saw Warped Tour back in the day, it was either Fearless Records, it was Rise Records, it was Roadrunner Records, kind of sometimes with, and even then, not really. Point is, they've been around for a long time, so I get it. I completely understand it. And basically, Wage War is the mind child of Jeremy from A Day to Remember, as he is their producer, has been since the beginning. But I want them to get a little bit heavier than what they did before, but authentically. I want them to kind of pluck some lyrical content, pluck some themes from being isolated, maybe from the pandemic, because I know Manic wasn't about that at all. And if they claim that, I know it's not fucking true. Their label told them to say that or something. That's just instincts, right? That's just personal opinion. But next Wage War record, I wanted it to be their heaviest material yet, whilst also experimenting and basically providing the image of like a mixtape playing dubstep inside of it on a curb in like a downtown area. Don't know how else to describe it. I don't know how else to describe it, but like you can barely hear like maybe Skrillex era dubstep in there, and you're like,
oh my god, dude, I love Skrillex.
Skrillex is great, and he released 2 albums last year, and they were both really, really good. That's besides the point.
I think Reasons is still my favorite album of his. Sorry, your mic cut out. You're having some technical difficulties here.
My least favorite thing about this fucking show, and I'm the host. No, it's really good. But Wage War, it's like I want to hear Cody experiment more with his vocal capabilities. And if not that, if they're okay with it, because they're from Florida, because they're from the South, because they're from freaking alligator territory, and because recently both Wage War and Fit for a King, I don't know who the artist is, but they kind of embrace the more like deathcore edition of the metalcore logo aesthetic. What I'd love to see them do is maybe have their version of Kin.
Yeah. Oh, dude. I forgot about that record. That's in my top 5 easily. I'll put that as I'll put Kin at 4. Kin is up there for me, definitely.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that we agree upon being able to embrace and appreciate, because like, dude, throughout the entirety of 2022, being that Kin released in 2021, Halloween of 2021, which is even fucking
dude,
cooler.
Right?
Such a good record. But I cannot tell you how many times I listened to that record driving throughout Tennessee. I'm like, this is what Tennessee sounds like. Especially I Will Find You, Anti-Cure, Orphan.
Yep.
Those songs mainly,
really
but of course the other songs, it's just like a late night drive out in Tennessee and seeing the silhouettes of farm properties off in the distance, it being cold as shit compared to it is here in Phoenix, Arizona, or how this is like one of my favorite things about Tennessee, on a night to night basis. There are so little street lights that when you do see lights, you can only see patches of light in the overcast from major cities. It looks like fucking doomsday. And I continue upon that premise by saying there was one night to where during sunset, there was red and pink poking through a very thick overcast. And it looked like fucking doomsday, bro. It was insane, but it was so cool. So I look forward to Whitechapel also releasing this year. So you know what? That's a good conversation for us to get into. What are some of your like most anticipated albums or records this year? Maybe from artists that people haven't heard of. Maybe
Darko.
Darko, yes.
Bunny Suit is my favorite song off of their most recent stuff. I will say that, like, okay. Can we rank Darko albums real quick, actually? Because I want your opinion on this as well. Okay, so let's see. They have 5 records. Yeah, they have Death Mask, they have Darko, they have Oni, and they have Death Mask Part 2. So they have 4 full EP records out. So I think that self-titled, like their Darko, is number 2. I think number 1 is.
You better say Oni, boy. You better say Oni.
Listen, I love Oni. I love Oni, but I think Death Mask Part 1 is just the raw Darko experience, and I think the reason that I like it so much is because of Divine Void, and I just love how eerie that record is. I've I took mushrooms and listened to that record one time and had a panic attack listening to Treasure. Yeah, it was terrible.
That's gonna cause some bias. That's understandable.
Yep. But I think that Oni is number 3 and Death Mask Part 2 is number 4. And the reason I say that, and I know that's a really hot take, I didn't like how many like transition songs there were in Oni. I didn't like that was my biggest issue with it. Like, I think Gantz is really good. Looking Glass is really good. Evolve, dude, that whole record front to back, really good. I just hate that there are transition tracks that just don't fit the rest of the record for me. Like, I think that Darko.
What tracks though, specifically?
Okay, hold on. Let me pull this up.
Because for me, like, basically Darko collectively to me is Area 51 mixtape music, and that you find it as like a time capsule buried under the sand, maybe like 3 miles away from the main gate, and you're like, what the fuck is this? It says Darko US, you load it in, you're like, holy shit, did aliens actually make this? Is this supposed to be classified musical material? Like, that's what Darko is for me. And Oni really encapsulated that for me.
I think that their next record is going to be their best record because, to your point, I would consider Darko to be ethereal deathcore, and I saw that comment, and I think that is the best representation of Darko. It's not.
It's not.
And by the way, it's not formulated at all. It takes from so many different genres. It takes from so many different influences, but I think that the reason that Darko sticks out so much is because of that. There are so many bands that have that like synthwave, that have that really like orchestral kind of sound to it. I don't think orchestral is the word, but you understand what I mean.
Yes.
But I think Darko does a really fucking good job on capitalizing because it is a really good mixture between the two. Yes. I would say that Darko is like, if you were to take Metal Step, like an Excision collab song or Phase 1, and you were to take the step part and like make that like the first, and then like I said that backwards. You basically made it more metal and added the dubstep elements rather than having a dubstep with metal elements. I think that's what Darko is, and I think it does a really fucking good job of that. But I think that their next record is going to be their best record just off of how good Bunny Suit is. And just, dude, Shanghai, dude. The fucking chorus in Shanghai, dude. I listened to that song the first time and I was like, like it was just pleasant to listen to. Like it literally just, it scratched parts of my brain that just, it felt good. Yeah. You know, I'm very excited for Darko. Another album that I'm anticipated for, we talked about before, Boundaries, of course.
Yeah.
That is easily going to be my record of 2024, I think. I can't think of many other artists that I am like super. Whitechapel's album, I think, is going to be really fucking good. If they are actually going back to their roots, and I'm going to be dead honest with you, I love Somatic Defilement, but it's not at the top of my listening list with their discography. I still think that Our Endless War and Kin and The Valley are my favorites personally, and I know that's a very hot take. But I really just
hot takes, bro. Like, come on.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna stop saying hot takes. But you know, I think that now that bands are becoming more open to bending their genres a little bit, I think we're really starting to see like what an artist truly is,
what they're capable of.
Yes. And that's one of the reasons I like Kim Dracula so much, because he is the epitome. They, I don't know what they identify as. They are the epitome of what a diverse musician can do.
Yes.
Their whole record front to back has hundreds of different genres in it. Like even just in the song Make Me Famous, there's like 37 different genres in it. And it's crazy to me that someone can write music like that. Like someone can just take from so many different aspects, cluster it into one fucking 4 or 5 minute long section and make it sound good. I think that's cool as shit.
Yeah.
I could go on and on about music tastes. What other records am I? Oh, Knock Loose's record and Body Snatcher's new records. I'm also excited for those.
Yeah, the fucking Body Snatcher record releasing on 420.
I thought that was really fun. They're super straight edge, aren't they? Like they are like super duper 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 straight edge. I thought that was really fucking funny.
Yeah.
Let's see. If Paleface drops a new album, I will be listening to that. I loved Fear and Dagger. That was also another record on my top 10. I don't know if people really liked chapters 1 through 3. And they were aggressive, they were angry, but I hate using this term. They were very cringe lyrics. Like they were very like, rah, we're angry, fuck you, rah. And it's just like, it's cool and all, but like put some more behind it. And I think that Fear and Dagger did a really good fucking job of doing that.
I can say that up until Fear and Dagger, I almost refused to get merch for any of their prior albums because, well, for one, the albums
too much.
like had subs. Yeah, they were way too much. But not only that, but the first 3 album covers, they had women on them that were getting like ripped open and shit. I did not want to host that on my walls. So when they released Fear and Dagger, I became emotionally attached to it and I became really invested because of 2 reasons. 2 or shit. 1, my buddy Josh Martineau did the intro to the album.
I know Josh. I have his name in Facebook saved as Ding Dong Machine. He messaged me today actually. Someone did some fan art for him that was really cool. I love Josh. He sends me the most unhinged things and sometimes I don't know how to like properly respond and I feel bad. But dude, I fucking love him. He's like one of my favorite people that I haven't met in person yet, and I really look forward to doing that. God. I believe he's in Massachusetts, so
yes, he is.
Yeah, when we do our East Coast tour eventually, I'm definitely gonna make sure that we stop in Massachusetts just for him because he has literally been like one of the biggest supporters of like my endeavors, even outside of Surefire. He's literally just such a great fucking guy.
He is.
I have so many good things to say about that dude, and I wish more people were like him.
Yeah, honestly. And how consistent he's been with like a genre of music that doesn't usually get that much spotlight, right?
Yes, Cole is really cool.
Cole is really, really sick. I can easily say here on the show that I have not reacted to content or any material that he's released in such a long time because he quite literally makes so much shit. I can't keep up with it, bro. I can't keep up with it, dude. It's so hard. I'm like, yo, I love this guy, but like I have actually hundreds of other artists to catch up on. And basically, dude, as the podcast continues to expand, as I continue to have more and more artists on the show, I'm also networking with those artists. So at the very least right now, I am trying to consistently keep up with 68 artists.
That's rough.
It's near impossible. That's why I got a co-host. I can't do it by myself anymore, bro. I can't.
Come on, man. Work some overtime. You got this.
That's the only reason that I've been able to do this. And for example, today, it's the only reason that we were able to jump into session on the whim is because I work from home now. I work from home once again. So with that being said, it's like for me personally, 2024, I'm most looking forward to Wage War. I'm most looking forward to Make Them Suffer 2024, Whitechapel 2024, While She Sleeps 2024, Spite. I'm really looking forward to that. Body Snatcher.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to you continue, please.
I loved the Lord I can't think of the name. Their most recent record. Yeah, Dedication to Flesh. Yes.
That's my
Some of the tastiest fucking riffs, dude. Swear to God. Like Oh, dude, even just the title track, the it's so fucking good.
Dude, hands down, they caught me off guard. I totally thought they were going to name their new record One Step Closer to Becoming God because of the tour that they did with Body Box. What is it? Body Box, Boundaries, No Zodiac, and a couple artists. It kind of like disappointed me really when they were just like Dedication to Flesh, and they used the same fucking skull from Nothing Is Beautiful, inverted it, and then made it freaking goo. I'm like, what is this? This is not what I signed up for. I can't pre-order this shit. I'm sorry.
Spike Gold.
Like,
Spike Gold. Spike Gold, motherfucker. Where's this Sprite Gold, man?
Where's this Spike Gold? Fucking table, man. I need to get my Dedication to Flesh on.
Have you been? We're going to Dedication to Flesh Palooza.
That's actually sounds like a really fun but very culty festival, bro. That'd be some Unique Leader Records, Nuclear Blast, and Century Media Records artist on there. Most of Slam Worldwide, period. They'd be there too, but so for me, there's Whitechapel, Wage War, Make Them Suffer, While She Sleeps. I'm counting on Architects to release a new record this year that is not shit.
I'm gonna stop you for a second right there.
Yeah.
I think the fact that they wrote a whole song dunking on their fans about how they talk shit about their music is the lamest thing. Like, it's a good song. Like, don't get me wrong, I love it, but I think it's insulting to go to your fans and be like, hey, you guys want fucking heavy music, you fucking pussies. This is what you want, right? And like, the thing is like, deep down, you and I both know in our hearts, we're never gonna get Holy Hell. We're never gonna get that kind of record ever again, because they're gonna want to keep to their. They're going to want to keep what makes them popular. And I think I started really fucking bad when I said that, but I think that I hate the term sellout. I don't think that they sold out.
No.
I just think that they are playing something that is more comfortable to what they want to play. And a lot of times, and this is very evident with Whitechapel, there will be people that won't like it because it's not somatic defilement. You know, it's not Holy Hell.
Yeah.
But I do think that you have situations like Parkway Drive. God, dude, fucking rest in peace, that fucking band. I don't think I will ever listen to them ever again after that record that they just put, dude.
I haven't
that is, dude, I'm gonna be dead honest with you. I listened to Reverence. I loved Reverence. I loved how it had a really like thematic view behind every one of the songs. Wishing Well's like the most popular song, hard as fuck, like probably one of their heaviest songs since Boneyards, right? But I think that band literally just dookied themselves. Like that record is just,
it's not good.
That record is their Saint Anger. Like, I swear to God, that record is their Saint Anger. And I know that's a terrible thing to say because Saint Anger is fucking terrible.
Saint Anger, but I guess I don't reference
Metallica.
Oh yeah, I don't listen to Metallica at all. Because I'm like, literally, they sound exactly the same every record that they release.
He says it like 87 times in their Lucy record or some dumb shit like that. It's crazy to me. Dude, it makes me mad that they won that Grammy. They won that. They literally won that off of popular boomer vote. Like, Metallica really isn't that relevant anymore. Like, I'm going to be honest with you. Bands like, okay, I can't say that because they are still selling out stadiums. So they obviously are still relevant. But they're not like, the people that are going to see them aren't people that are new fans of them. They are people that have been fans for a very long time. And or people that got into them when they were kids. So it's nostalgia.
Yep. Or they indoctrinated their own children.
Or they indoctrinated their own children. Jesus fuck.
Like, no, but like to Andrew Shan, man, 36 times a day. But Mama, why?
Because this is what I grew up on. We have this in the Ball Crushers factory. You're gonna like it too.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I will admit, that despite all these years recognizing and acknowledging Metallica exclusively as a starter kick rock/metal band and a dad rock band, what I will say is that I think the fucking Modern Warfare 2 trailer, when that first dropped, and that had I think Enter Sandman. No. Yeah. Exit Life. And it's Enter Sandman. So when they had that, because I'm a COD Kyle.
You're a COD Kyle. Oh,
I'm a COD Kyle. And I'm still on the train. I'm waiting for Black Ops 2025 to come out this fall. And then after that, most likely I'll retire from my fucking simp streak.
That's all right. It'll be just as bad as all the ones that have come out, and
we will still
play it. And you know what's gonna happen? You know what's gonna happen? I'm gonna spoil this for you. What's gonna happen is this game is gonna be a hot steaming pile. Hold on. This game is gonna release as a hot steaming pile of shit, and then everyone is gonna go back to play the previous game because that game was better in comparison to what it is now. Well, and that's the sad reality of Call of Duty. Every fucking game. They do it on purpose too. I swear to God. They release an unfinished product. That way people go back to the previous game and go, this is much better than what that was. And then once they fix the game, everyone goes, oh, this game is good now. I should play this. This is fucking awesome.
It's a vicious cycle.
It's a vicious fucking cycle, dude.
That's why they never changed the prices on Black Ops 2, because they're like, we'll know you'll come back. We know you'll come back eventually.
We know you want the zombies, dude. That's it. You just want the zombies, bro.
Well, I mean, okay. Here's what I want to say. This, and like, it doesn't really mean anything, me saying this, because I've been a COD Kyle since at least the Black Ops 2 cycle. But what I want to say is that I think Black Ops 2025 will probably be the final nail in the coffin for COD, because it's a Treyarch game that's been developed for 4 years.
I literally only care about zombies. Like
that, yes.
And dude, I don't know. Like, I think that fuck, dude. Okay, so Cold War was really good. Like, gameplay wise, Cold War is the best. Gameplay wise, the maps were fucking terrible, and that is the only reason that game is not number one in the zombies community, is because of how bad the maps were. Now, if they literally would just expand on the exact same gameplay systems but took the maps from Black Ops 3, we would be fucking golden, dude. Can you imagine playing Der Eisendrache with Cold War's game system? How fun that would be. And you can do that, actually. If your PC can run Black Ops 3, there is Cold War in Black Ops 3, so you can run that system. Like, you can make that happen. Yeah. It's the best. Playing Origins with Cold War's gameplay system. Oh, dude. Yes. Dude. Nothing beats it. Swear to God, nothing beats it.
So, okay. If just trying to make sure we're on the same page here, the replayability, the ranking system, how you upgrade the perks, how you
that's the best part,
like crystals and shit, and how you don't have to glitch the fucking game to get all the perks. That's what you're talking about, right?
Yes. The fact fact that what I really love, and I am I used to be really big into first-person shooters when I was younger, and over my years, I have become more of an ARPG/comfort game kind of lover.
Yep.
So anytime that you can dangle a carrot in front of me and tell me, hey, man, you can make this carrot gold if you put enough points into it, I'm going to fucking play that game.
Yes.
I think Cold War did a really good job of that, especially with the field upgrades. Holy shit, dude. Getting the revive to level 10 and being able to instant revive your team and keep all their perks, huge, massive.
That's what you work for.
The fact that the game upscaled difficulty as you played, loved it. That game literally was worth and it still is worth replaying. The Easter eggs, some of the best in the game. Like, out of any COD game, just the maps, dude. It's literally just the maps. If the maps were better, it'd be fucking awesome. Outbreak was really fun. But
Outbreak, yes. I loved Outbreak.
Was great.
I think what I was really hoping for is that they would expand upon the bosses that they had in Outbreak. That way there's more replayability.
Yep.
More
they had a golden ticket with Cold War. They had the perfect gameplay system. They had everything they needed to do with like to put themselves up to success. And then they released Modern Warfare's version of it and just dumped on it.
Dude, I can definitely say that in regards to the zombies and how they were meaning to duplicate the Outbreak experience, but instead it just ended up being the fucking Warzone map with 3 different layers to the map that you'd have to go deeper into. The Pack-a-Punch was fucking ass, and none of the bosses were actually bosses. They were just recycled assets from Cold War. I was so pissed off. I'm like, are you kidding me?
The fact that they made the chimeras into a boss when it was literally just a spawnable enemy is crazy to me.
Chimera?
The Chimera. Yep. Or the
Abomination?
The Abominations. Yep, the Abominations.
There you go. Dude, and honestly, I think it was the coolest thing when they made Easter eggs really easy to do in Cold War with the you had like the secondary one. Of course, you had the main one, which has you confront like the super crystal, like the super, I forgot what they're called. What were they called, bro? Obviously, you're pretty well versed in zombies. The electric dudes, Tempest, right?
Yeah, the Tempest. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So when they had the super Tempest, and that was an Easter egg, I'm like, that's really, really cool. You got a big old freaking crystal, man. And then when I was seeing little Easter egg videos behind the scenes of them like seeing other like bigger, bulkier variations of the Aether God of the Orda, I was like, are they going to bring it in? They never brought it in. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me, bro? Are you fucking filming right now? I don't know if you're a health or Hasbin Hotel guy, but if you're not, and if you like vulgar humor, if you like kind of like Rick and Morty,
Hasbin's pretty good. I like Hell of a Boss was really good too.
Okay, good. I'm glad you're invested into those forms of media, because I have been on the same boat as everybody else recently with those shows. I can't get enough of it. And I really want to, you know how Derek of Nithful did like the Alistair thing recently, but in Deathcore? I really want to collaborate with him and do Vox solely because of this podcast. And because of my more talk show friendly voice and all that other shit. I want to do Vox and have him do the entirety of the Alistair thing and have us bounce back and forth. I really want to do that. I'm going to make it happen, bro, because Vox is a fucking douche, but I want to play Vox. I want to do that. I want to participate in the culture, because I'm kind of livid that there isn't physical merchandise in any Hot Topics or Spencer's in my local area for Hasbin Hotel, despite it spiking on Amazon as actually being, I think, number 3 as far as all the shows and media, the original content that they have on there. I'm like, where the fuck is the merch and freaking Hot Topic and Spencer's, even Zoomies? Where's the merch? Where is it? I want to give me some Hasbin Hotel pajamas and socks, bro. Like, where the fuck is it? But that's
I want my socks.
I want my socks.
I want my socks. Where are they at?
I want my special stock. I want my Alistair and calorie socks. But okay, more or less, we definitely talked about like our anticipated releases and shit. So let's go ahead and do the second half of the session now.
Oh God.
What
are we 2 hours in already? Fuck.
I think so, yeah. Content, duration. Plenty for the road.
TikTokers will love this one, bro.
Yeah, seriously. So this is really we're speaking from the frontman's perspective this time, right? We're going to be asking you a variety of different clickbait questions, and because you've already had the experience of playing in a live setting, more or less, you can also pluck from in-person experiences and even stories that you can tell about fans who you've already interacted with, all that fun stuff. We start by depersonalizing you. You're no longer Joseph. You're no longer Joseph Coleman of Surefire. You're just Surefire, okay? Because that's the Anatomy podcast. That's the formula, is we're treating the band projects being hosted as if they are one collective sentience. But because you're the front man and because you do marketing, you do social media management, all that other shit for the band as well, this should be pretty easy. we start off by kind of putting you in an imaginary scenario. Maybe I don't know. Do you do merch for the band?
No, I don't make merch. No, we have a merch guy.
Okay. So imagine you are the merch guy. The pressure's on you. Hi, cat. Kitty.
He's very affectionate. I love him.
Very needy and affectionate. We love to see it. As opposed to him just like fucking swatting you in the face while you're in the middle of a podcast session or something. Just like, why do you hate me? I hate you. But you have a fan approach you to the merch table, and essentially he asks you this question: why the name Surefire? Where did the name come from? What are its origins? If it was kind of a bullshit improvised name, has there been any lore that you've associated with the name since the band's incarnation? Tell us all you can.
So before we actually released Heartsick, like our first song as Surefire, we had we had 2 different band names, I think, that we had logos for that we just never like used because we just decided they were too much. The first one, when I started the band with Nick and Tyrell, was called Beyond the Dawn, and I literally just used I think it was like Canva or something that I used to make the logo. But we never wrote anything, and then we went through a few members, and then Jake and I thought about doing Insufficiency, and the logo for that was actually really cool. It was like Insufficiency, like drawn out like this, and it had like a cut going through the center of it. It looks really fucking cool. And we had like a whole like chromatic version of it and everything. And then that ended up not working out because we were rotating, trying to find the right fits for the band, trying to get a good writing process going. And then once I had found Cameron and Ian, because it was originally our old drummer Jake and then me that wrote Heartsick, because we didn't have a bassist or another guitarist at the time. So we were like, oh, let's instead of having this like giant fucking Insufficiency name that is probably really fucking hard to pronounce if you're not English, Jake was like, oh, this one this is a surefire way to work, like this it'll work this time, guys. And like he made a joke about it, and then we thought about it for like a week, and we're like, yeah, this is our 3rd time like rebranding. Let's Surefire, fucking it's a surefire way for it to work. It'll work this time. And then here we are now doing podcasts with you.
There we go. Hell yeah, dude. Lore. Absolute lore. So we've got that question covered. You provided your commentary, you provided your response, and more or less in the future, I will be more than excited to host the rest of Surefire and kind of get their perspective on what the name means to them, the lore company, the lore associated, etc. Now, part 2 of this imaginary scenario at the merch table would be not only part 1, but there will be 2 parts of this question to make it a little bit more complex, kind of throw a wrench in the machine that is this podcast. So what to you is the most important part about writing lyrical material for a Surefire song, and why? As you are, I would assume, the lyricist.
Yeah, so I've written all of our lyrics. They're all very and I know everyone says this, but they're all very like emotionally heavy to me. I think for me, more than anything, get down, go on, go. You are being a nuisance. I love you, but you are too much right now. I think the most important part for me in a band is the lyrical content, but I'm biased because 1, I'm a lyricist, and 2, I do vocals, so the shoe fits,
Yeah.
But so everyone has their own like writing process, right? Like some people like to start front to back to front, find a piece to work on it. I will listen to a demo that Cameron has, whipped up from, Devin making something, and we're gonna talk post Holehearted in reference to this, because all of us are writing now. Like it's not just one or two of us writing the music. Like it's all of us writing now.
Right. Okay. Cool.
Which is one of the reasons why I'm like, I think that this next record is genuinely just gonna fucking knock some socks off, because it's dude, we added Devin into our roster as our new drummer, and like I can't put into words how cracked this dude is. Like hold on, let me send you this video. I'll send you on Messenger. You can pull it up if you want.
Okay.
But we had our ears remixed because we have in-ear monitors on stage, and we went to the Bend Theater to have our ears mixed again. I'll send both of these. And we recorded a couple of videos of him just doing freestyle stuff, and like I can't comprehend most of the stuff that he writes. It's either too complex or it's too fast. Like I understand how to play with it through a click, but I would never be able to think of stuff like this, if that makes sense. But I think that he is adding so much to our music, and I am beyond happy that we have him as our drummer now.
Okay.
Because the new music that we have coming out is like, it doesn't sound, it sounds like our first record, but it doesn't sound like it sounds like a stepping stone kind of thing, if that makes sense. So
yeah,
in between,
roots, but also like kind of polishes up your roots.
Yeah. So in between Holehearted and our next EP, we have 3 singles that are coming out. The next one coming out is called Salt the Wound. We're actually going to be recording a music video for that very soon, along with another music video. But these 3 singles are a good idea as to what our new sound will be. But the stuff on the second record is still like just different compared to these singles, if that makes sense. And I'll show you some stuff off stream, because I don't know when you plan on releasing this, but I don't want to like leak stuff before we before we even release it. That'd be kind of silly for me to do. Your mic's muted.
So be like releasing sometime after we get done with session tonight, like sometime this week, because just trying to get as many podcast episodes out as possible. But I also definitely want to provide a plug and provide some spotlight to your drummer real quick with the clips that you've sent me.
Absolutely, dude.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Have fun.
Okay.
I love watching him slow down to like think of the next pieces that he's gonna do.
Sick. It's like I'm fucking done. Ah, shit. Shit.
All right, you're good.
Oh.
Dude, he's just insane. I fucking love him.
Bro, I really hope this doesn't fuck up someone's sound system in their car. It's like, what is this like?
Oh, dude, I love his stuff so much.
Hell yeah. That's sick. What I hear in the background?
Something about Surefire.
This is a Surefire solution. That's great. That's great. So that would be Devin. That would be your new drummer.
Yes.
How recently did you guys acquire him? Because I'm getting the impression he's a newer addition.
I believe August is when we added him officially into the roster, because we moved our old drummer out after tour. A little bit less than a month after tour. And then we put our thing out like, hey, we're looking for a drummer. And then he hit us up. And like, he was from another band from our area called Until It's Over.
Okay.
And they're more deathcore. They're not quite as like heavy metalcore like us.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, he basically his audition video, he sent in a completely rewritten drum track for one of the songs on our first EP.
Whoa.
And I can't put into words how blown away we were. Like, yeah. He took this, like, he took the songs from our first EP that had like okay drums and just fucked them. Like, just Abs just bent them over and just fucked them.
That's sick.
But no, it was awesome. And then we have 3 songs right now that are just being mixed and mastered. One of them is called Salt the Wound. The next one's called Lethargic. And then we have another one that has Dylan Hare from Dead Awake on it.
Dude, yeah.
Dude, he raps on it.
He raps. That's the one you were talking about Facebook. That's the one he raps on.
It's stupid bitch talking behind my back. That is stacked. That when I see you, that I'm on the attack. I always knew that a backbone is what you lack. I heard every word, and there's no taking it back.
I love that we've had Dead Awake on the show too. Shout out to Dylan, bro. Really cool.
Dude. I love him so much. He hit me up today because I made that post. What was it, yesterday, the day before, about people that are super genuine upfront to you, but like just talk mad shit behind my back. And he actually sent me a Snapchat while I was at work today. He's like, hey man, I saw your post. Are you doing all right? Like, I want to talk to you. Are you doing all right? Love you. Want to make sure you're doing good. And I don't know. I wish more people were like Dylan Hare. Like, he is genuinely such a fucking sweetheart. Love that dude so much. Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. Don't like my mic muted, so
okay. Oh no, you're good.
That's awesome. I love that, and I cannot wait to hear this new material, man. When it's fully fleshed out and ready to release to the public, it's gonna be lit. I'm so excited, dude. One thing for sure, like, kind of, I would say, because you're wanting to talk about, because the context that you were providing when it came to writing songs was post Holehearted. Right. That's what you were mentioning before. So if anything, what I would want to do briefly is I would want to kind of like recall your most recent effort and talk about Holehearted, because that was a damn good EP. And I wanted to do some under the skin. I wanted to go under the skin of it, do some track by track lyrical analysis of it. And then most likely sometime after that is when we will go ahead and get session wrapped up. We've been having a great conversation. We're getting to know each other. We've been able to connect on a lot of different things that I wouldn't really think we'd be able to connect with unless we get into a podcast session like this, or even jump into a COD match or something very similar. So
if you don't mind me cutting off here a sec, I feel like a lot of people, and I know I'm very passionate about the things that I like morally uphold, but I know it turns a lot of people away from me, to be honest. But I feel that if people spent more time just getting to know each other rather than just being like, oh, this guy is like super open about the shit that he believes in, I feel like we would have more connections like this where like we're just both goofy ass people that enjoy doing goofy silly things, you know?
Exactly. It's not about being too uptight or being too serious. I used to do that all the time with the show, and I think since I started really letting loose, and of course having a script to go off of, that way it's not complete just unhinged ADHD tangents for about 3 or 4 hours straight, right? It's good to have a formula. It's good to have a script, a structure of some sort. But then ultimately, when you're in the position that we are, and when you're not trying to do music full time, but you also are trying to have a financial backbone, you're trying to sustain some type of social life, really, just make connections outside of music. That way, not everything in your life is involved in music, because over time, I can only imagine the scenarios that other people in our scene, in our world, have gone through, to where that's exactly what happens. They only make connections, they only make friends, they only make partnerships because they're in Bring the Horizon or whatever the fuck. And then the moment that they leave that, well, they lose all those connections. How shitty would that be to be in that situation? So it's
that's my like biggest fear, to be honest, as a musician. Like, I try to surround myself with people that I know are genuine people that like want to know me for me and not for, you know, any of my endeavors. But there obviously will always be people like that, and I just hope I'm doing a good job filtering those kinds of people out, if that makes sense.
Yeah, me too.
I want nothing but love around me, and that's all I have so much to give and so much to get, you know?
Yep. We all do. And that's the beauty of being in modern day counterculture to me. Of course, you still have some pretty fake ass people. You have people that really are only trying to make weird music for the shock value. They're only trying to make a disgusting breakdown for the shock value, for the views on YouTube, and absolutely nothing else. And I get it. From a marketing standpoint, I get that. But there's a lot more to making music that me and Joseph, for starters, do, or talk about all the records that we've talked about during tonight's podcast. There's a lot more to it than just shock value. There's a lot more to it than just wanting the most disgusting, unreadable logo or illegible logo ever. There's a lot more to it than that. And a lot of people, like, I do believe that for the most part, we have a good chunk of our world and the people that reside in it that understand that, and on an international scale, on a global scale, which is good. But there are still some people who are like just barely getting into it that don't. So if you happen to be one of those people and you're listening to this show, just understand that everybody's trying to be humble. Everybody's trying to be human, because we want to make sure that we're separating ourselves from a higher tier, a whole other planet worth of artists, musicians, and personalities who don't give a shit about their fans, who would rather charge their fans $800 for some random ass fucking amphitheater seat in a massive show in which you're basically a good football field away from that person. You don't even really get to see them. You're just in the presence of them. And it baffles my mind that there are some artists out there to where that's still good enough for their fans. Almost $1,000 for the ticket, almost $1,000 for the flight there, almost $1,000 for the hotel, even
the Super Bowl tickets, dude.
Jesus. How, like, of course it's at the end of the day, this is a big saying of mine recently. No matter how you inspire, intimidate, or affect someone else emotionally, or how much someone emotionally affects you, you at the end of the day are responsible for the actions and what you end up doing in the end. So, of course, at the end of the day, Swifties are Swifties, for example. There's not really much I can do about that. And it's just very strange seeing how like culty that culture has become. What I'm trying to say is, without worrying about Swifties, without worrying about all these people who are about their freaking pumpkin ice spice lattes and shit, whatever. Because don't get me wrong, pumpkin spice is really good. I'm just making a joke. it's really important to understand that if you're going to be a part of this world, that you're willing to be authentic, you're willing to be as transparent as a phantom, and that you be real with people. You make good connections, you learn how to network, and then over time, well, that becomes a legacy. You get to carve out a legacy. And for me, that's been on a worldwide scale so far, which not many people can say that. So I'm very proud to be associated with people like Joseph Coleman, like fucking Kieran and Thomas and Dane Slinger of Heirs of Humanity, like the boys in that we most recently interviewed, Cell. I'm so proud and so very, very humbled by like how far this show has come and how many bands we've reached out to, how many artists we've been able to connect with. But we were doing Under the Skin for Holehearted. So let's definitely get back into that scenario. Yeah. If like, I would even instruct you to go as far as closing your eyes real quick. So, close your eyes. Imagine you're in a library. You're not in a band. Again, we're depersonalizing you. You're no longer Joseph Coleman. Okay. You're in a library and you happen to see the album cover, the EP cover for Holehearted. You're like, whoa, it's a weird dude. He has like a freaking rose, a lotus sprouting out of his head. There's lots of pink. It says Holehearted on the bottom. Maybe the Surefire logo is in the bottom right-hand corner. Maybe it's sideways like we do a lot of album and EP covers these days. But you turn over this book. And there's a small chunk of passage that's supposed to almost seduce you as a bookworm into reading the book in the first place. What would the text say on the back to you, and why?
So that record was about the 5 years of therapy that I went through. It talks a lot about the attempted suicide that I had when I was 19. It talks about cutting my family off. It talks about cutting off friends. And then the end of the record is basically finding acceptance. So if you want me to go through the songs, I don't mind doing that. I'm more than happy to.
Absolutely.
So
I would love for you to do
that. Slow Bleed, for example, the influence for the actual lyric, like not the lyrics, but the flow of the lyrics was Alpha Wolf, the song Sub-Zero, the "You're just a pussy with a black hoodie." I probably butchered the lyrics. I pushed pussy in a black hoodie. But I really liked that like da 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 kind of like aggressive vocal, which is why the melody for that song was da 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 da. Like it was just really like really sembly, really like da, really harsh. Slow Bleed basically talks about how I was putting myself in bad situations, so addicted to the pain afflicted to myself. The warmth I'm feeling is nothing but caustic. So that first part of the song is how I realize how I'm putting myself into bad situations and how I don't feel love. I feel nothing but negative emotions out of it. And it's an intro track, so there's not really a lot of depth into the lyrics on this one. The end of the song, but it's okay. In the end, I found a way to deal with the pain. I'll throw away my innocence and cast aside the grief. Wasted my life trying to forget everything you've said and done. I feel numb. Pretty self-explanatory with those lyrics. I like to write some of my lyrics in tongues, but also not, if that makes sense. Like I like to have stuff that is really like highbrow, but also stuff that's like, what the fuck does that mean?
Yeah.
Scars is a good example. Yeah, Scars is a good example of what that is. That's the second song on that record. Freeing myself from the voices that control me, but no matter how loud I scream, they never stop. It was a lot of arguing in the household that I grew up in, and it was a lot of just raising your voice to try and win an argument. Like if I talk louder, if I scream louder, maybe I'll be right. So that's what that line is about. It's basically about people trying to just be more mean to push themselves into a feeling of self-righteousness. Tell me, please, there's a form of relief. Tell me, please, there is a means to an end. Pretty self-explanatory. Regardless of how deep I cut, the voices never stop. Pretty self-explanatory. And then I really liked writing the chorus. I don't know if you would really call it a chorus, the bridge. I don't know, the piece of the song, the cutting and carving deeper to find that missing piece of me, trying to find, or like, dude, I can't even remember my own lyrics. Jesus fuck. Trying to hide, but they always find me. Basically talking about how I have emotions that I'm trying to repress, but no matter how hard I try and push them down, they forcibly resurface themselves.
Right.
The worst part of me is the reflection of you clawing out the skin of my eyes for some relief, trying to let go, but they'll never fucking leave me alone. Also pretty self-explanatory. And then I tried to cut it out. It buried deep and rotted my soul. No matter how deep I try to cut, I can never let go. Like a parasite, you took everything that I loved. No matter how deep I try to cut, I can never let go. Basically trying to sever myself from these emotions and not being able to, because no matter how hard I would push them away or try and shove them down or get them out, they would resurface themselves just worse than they did before.
Right.
So that's basically, that song is basically talking about shutting out negativity and it resurfacing just 10 times worse, just multiplying itself over. Suppressive Thoughts. Actually, no, I believe Heartsick is next on that record.
Heartsick is next. Yeah. Heartsick.
Yes, Heartsick is next on that record. God, I've talked about this song so fucking much. So Heartsick, this was the first song I've actually ever like lyrically written, like that I've actually had recorded, put onto a song. So it's very basic in the sense of like what the actual lyrics are. So there honestly isn't much depth into this song per se. It's more so just looking for comfort in someone, not being able to get it. So that's what the chorus is. So let's all pretend you'll be in the end someone I've loved. I've suffered enough. So please tell me there is a way to free me of the burden that I carry onto a withered heart. I hate these songs.
Well, bro, like one thing very important, like for any artist, and I like, not that I've released an EP or an album for that matter, but like, sure, you've probably battered and butchered and like had to play these songs so many times, but this is part of the legacy, man. This is part of your story.
No, 100%. But yeah, so that song is pretty self-explanatory. It's just not getting the love that you want from the people that you love and always feeling a sense of apathy rather than accomplishment out of the people that you love.
Real.
Suppressive Thoughts is a really cool one. I really liked writing this one. This was the first song that we ever had a feature on, which was Dylan Greenhill from Vapid Soul. They're really cool, by the way. Check them out. They are from Milwaukee, Wisconsin as well. They're very new core. So if you like really like kind of stuff, you would really fucking like them. So it's all coming back to me, the searing pain burning through my chest. My sanity starts to dissipate. I'm overcome by sickness again. So those lines are talking about how a lot of these songs have a very reoccurring theme, by the way. They're bad emotions that I've had. They're bad experiences that I've had that I've tried to shove away that have just resurfaced themselves. Suppressive Thoughts is probably my favorite song to perform on this record, honestly, live. I think it's either this or it's Wither Memento, and Wither Memento is my favorite song. We'll get into that in a second here because I fucking love that song.
There you go.
So Suppressive Thoughts is talking about someone in my life who used to... Do you want me to pause for a second?
No, you're good. You're good. Keep going.
Okay. Suppressive Thoughts basically talks about someone in my life that would tell me what I could and couldn't do with myself.
Sorry. I had to stretch a little bit.
No, you're good. You got to stretch those glutes. I get it. But no, Suppressive Thoughts is talking about someone in my life that used to try and like control and shape who I was as a person. So suppressed my thoughts, but you failed to cauterize the wound. So it's basically like someone tearing their way into your own personality and not stitching their way back in or stitching their way out. basically just leaving an open wound after the damage that they caused. What kind of candle is that?
It is a Tempest. It's like a Baphomet Tempest tarot card one.
Wonderful.
It smells great. It is blackberry, wild plum, and pawpaw. Continue.
My favorite line in that song probably is, and by the way, anytime we have a vocal feature, I don't write lyrics for it. I firmly believe that if you're going to have someone feature, and it's not even for the sense of, oh, they're lazy, they're going to track. It's not about that at all to me. If you're going to hire someone or commission someone, whatever word you want to use for it, to feature in your song, you want them to play to their strong cards. That is the whole reason you have them feature. It's not to have them recycle words that you write out for them, because you will never be able to write in their style, which is what you are doing. You are commissioning them to work with you to write in their style to your music. So like I said, I can't speak on the features on these songs, but I can speak on the other stuff because I didn't write the features on these songs.
Right.
I really like the pre-Dylan part where there's nowhere left for me to go. I'm tormented by my shadow of the past I left behind. Pretty self-explanatory. And I keep saying that a lot. I feel really bad. I'm doing a really shitty job talking about my own music.
Bro. Fuck, you're fine. You do you.
I promise that there's do it. But I promise there's more depth to these songs than I am currently talking about. When we released our record, actually, like when I designed our website, we had an entire hold on, pause.
That's what you did. Yeah, you're good. You got shit on public domain, bro.
Dude, I got even better.
What do you got? Bring it to the table, Mr. Coleman.
Okay. So, vinyls, obviously, right? But hold on.
Yes.
On the back of our vinyls, it talks about each of our songs and what I had on there. So,
the pressure's on.
Okay, let's talk about suppressive thoughts. At the end of the day, you're just another signal. Suppressive thoughts is about being told how to think, act, and talk. It's a story of an internal battle. When I had started to move away from family and move away from a toxic past, I felt that no matter how hard I tried to distance myself, old memories of being yelled at, hearing arguing, and flashbacks of violence would always find its way back to me. And that's what the premise of suppressive thoughts is. And I'm only going to use that for this one because I'm going to talk in more depth about these next two songs because I love these next two songs.
Yeah, cool. Let's do it.
So, Withered Memento is the first song that I have written that has made me actually cry. I have put more emotion into this song than literally any other song on this record. And it makes me sad that this is our least streamed song. I swear to God, this is our least streamed song out of our whole discography. My favorite song, but that's why, it's a sleeper song, So I am going to touch base on the chorus on this song because I think that is the most important part of this song, because a lot of it is just this song goes more into depth about my attempted suicide. And mind you, when I did do that, it wasn't with a gun, it was with a rope. So
shit.
The lyrics are a little not twisted, but they're more dramatic in what they were. So the lyrics leading up to the fun part, another sleepless night, living life in dread. The only way to stop it is a bullet to the head. Tell myself there wouldn't be another way to alleviate the pain. Tell myself if I pull the trigger, I would feel nothing. And so from this point forward, I put more work into this song than I think any other song on this record, except for the next song on the record.
Okay.
I really wanted to try and capture what my depiction of what boundaries writing would be. So less about raw anger and emotion and more so about the actual usage of words and more so of the flow. So a lot of the song up to this point is talking about fuck you, I hate you, I'm suicidal, the only way to stop it is putting a bullet in my head. But leading up to the chorus, I really, really, really fucking like, and obviously I'm biased because I wrote it, but the growing sense of guilt that's building as the light is taken from me and my mind is filled with my regrets. I found serenity digging through my affinity. Lying through your teeth again. I've listened to these songs a few times. I don't know if you can tell. But the chorus, the reason that this song was so emotional for me is at the time when I wrote this is when I had first like really cut my family off. When I had basically told my grandparents, like, I don't want to see you guys anymore. Stay out of my life. I don't want you around me anymore. And that for the most part is true. Like, I haven't seen my actual family in 3-4 years now, I want to say. So like I'm very big on sticking to my word when it comes to things, and it's one of the reasons like when I make decisions, like I try to think a lot about it before I do. So it wasn't easy for me to do by any means because, you know, I didn't have very many friends growing up. My family was really all I had. So I basically took the only thing that I had growing up and just went, you know. But the chorus, I could talk about this chorus for hours. I'm going to summarize it into like 5 or 10 minutes for you, though.
Okay.
So, sifting through the sands of time to isolate the good in you. Every time I'd try to stitch the wound, I'd lose another piece of you. So, this was about my grandma, actually. And like, because my grandpa and my sister used to argue a lot growing up, and you know, my grandma would argue a lot. All of it. It was just a very, very hostile household. And the first part of this chorus talks about how every time that I would bring up to my grandma about how I felt about things that were being said, or how I felt about, you know, how we were treating each other, it felt like our connection just got thinner and thinner and thinner. Which is why every time I try to stitch the wound, I'd lose another piece of you, because every time I would try and like bridge that gap, it felt like we spaced further and further apart. And it just, the writing that Cameron did with the synth in the background, with the guitar work as well, it was just really big and emotional, and I wanted to make sure that I put the right kind of care into it. That way it didn't just feel like a typical chorus. And I know a lot of people, you know, everyone has their own interpretation of music and what lyrics and stuff mean. And I know that for the most part, a lot of people will never like really understand the emotional weight behind the stuff that I write. But especially in our new stuff, like there's a song on our second EP called Vicious Loop, and I think I've put more heart into that song than I did Withered, and I can say that with pretty good certainty, because like the chorus in that song is God fuck, I gotta think for a second.
You're good.
We're talking about so many different songs right now. I count down the time waiting for the day that I can find my way back to you. I can't remember your face. I don't remember your voice. I hope that we meet again before the end. Your absence left a hole because my world grew so fucking cold without you by my side. We came to terms with the outcome we share. I feel that we were put here just to suffer. Those are the lyrics that I have for Vicious, and a lot of our EP, our second EP, is much deeper from a writing standpoint than this first one, which is why I'm very excited for it, because I feel that this next record does a better job of diving deeper into trauma than the first one does, because the first one I was still learning how to write. I was learning how to flow stuff properly. I was learning how to actually put pen to paper that made sense. And I feel that with the time that we've been as a group and the time that we've, spent writing with each other, I feel like we're finally at a point where we are all playing what we really think our art should be, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Like, it feels like it's not just music anymore. It feels like it's an extension of ourselves. And I know that sounds, it is really deep. I don't want to say it sounds really deep. It is really deep. And when you get into a band where you feel that you are writing together like that, it becomes such, dude, I swear to God, like, this band has become such a big moral and emotional support for me, because not only do I have, my own guys that, I can talk to, but the people that I've met through this, the people that support me, that I support, I wouldn't have that if we didn't put out that first EP, if we didn't, stick it out and bite the bullet through the rough times and work through it. So if you're ever caught on whether you do or don't want to keep going, it's 100% worth it to keep going.
Yes.
It there are always going to be, bad times. There are going to be times where you feel like you're not progressing, like I said earlier in the podcast, like an hour and a half, 2 hours ago at this point. Doesn't feel like it though. I've genuinely, it's been a while since I've had someone actually like pick my brain like this, because like I don't talk to a lot of people, and that's kind of by choice. It doesn't have to do with trust, or it doesn't have to do with, me not wanting to open myself. I get so like, you were talking before about people, only being in your life for music. Anytime someone hits me up now, it's regarding music. It's like, hey, check out my band, check out my music. And like, a lot of people don't hit me up with genuine conversation anymore. And I don't have a problem with that by any means. I love talking to people about their music and their art, and I never want people to stop sending me stuff, because I love listening to it.
But when that's all you're messaging,
yes, it is very exhausting.
Like, what the fuck are you here in my chat for? You're just promoting your Facebook page. Honestly, like, I am already at that point to where I draw that line in the sand. It's like, okay, if you're getting in contact with me, I have so much stuff that I do already, and so much stuff that I plan to do. Are you here in chat to send me a link to your fucking Facebook page? Do you want to jump on my podcast? Do you want to get me featured on your album or EP or single for free? Because I do that. I'm going to be doing that in the near future. Do you want to do some sort of groundbreaking collaboration and create something with me that I've never done before? Or do you want to be my friend for nothing having anything to do with any of that, because of maybe me loving Silent Planet and worshiping them borderline as much as I do? What the fuck are you in my DMs for? Are you a spam bot who's attempting to hook up with me, and I know you're just fucking Mohammed behind the screen? What the fuck are you in my DMs for? I've gotten to that point now to where I'm like, yo, dude, honestly, I don't give a fuck about your Facebook page, because I already liked 60 this week. Or I don't know. Like, of course, there is networking, but sometimes you got to draw a line in the sand and just be like, no, you know what? Fuck off. Like, you're not in here for anything else other than to promote your own shit. And I hate that.
This sounds terrible to say, because I don't mean this by any ill intent whatsoever. Ill intent whatsoever.
Right.
But if someone adds me and they just send me a like to their band page, I typically don't check their music out. Like, the least you can do is send me a message. Like, if someone messages me like, hey, check my music out, then I will 100% always check out their music. But if someone just tags me in a comment, or they just fucking add me on Facebook and send me a page, like, it's like, dude, like, you're not looking for actual interaction. You're looking for a boost to your page.
My least favorite fucking thing is
invite your friends to like my page.
No, not that. these fuckers have the audacity to be sending you links, and they tag everybody in the group because there's that tag everybody option.
God.
They tag you for this bootleg merch, and they're like, click the link below for this fucking Alchemy fucking band shirt. Literally every time I get tagged in one of those comments, I reply, kill yourself. Like, I reply KYS. I'm so fucking done with it, dude.
Like, we had so on our tour with Weeping Moon coming up, we have a show at the WC Social Club in West Chicago, and a bot took the flyer for that show and threw it on a shirt and tagged everyone in the comments. And dude, it's on my wall too. Dylan Torres shared it. He's like, guys, we made it. They're putting our fucking flyers on shirts.
Oh my god. Cancer, absolute cancer. It's like, dude, get
just
the fuck out of here. It's really funny, but like, I know I'm gonna be fucking triggered when I see that at least once or twice. It's like, dude, why are you tagging actually thousands of people for this bootleg ass, probably fucking Chinese child sweatshop produced shirt that's never gonna be made, that has a fucking tour
Temu quality shirt?
Oh my god. Like, anyways, I'm not gonna try to be like that salty during the podcast. It's like, it's just so, it's definitely,
no, you're good. I get it.
It's definitely funny to see that shit recently, but just all these new mechanics that make being a musician and being an underground musician so much more fucking infuriating, despite how we're interconnecting with each other. It's like, oh yeah, I'll just hack into their main mechanics, tag everybody, and have them try to buy this bootleg shirt. I'm like, actually kill yourself. I know you're not fucking Sarah. You're probably Sarah 543254325443. I'm like, fucking die.
Are you an EXE or are you a .LUA? Which one are you?
Exactly. But let's definitely refocus a little bit. So I mean, we were talking about Suppressive Thoughts, right? We are still talking about that track.
No. We talked about Withered, or we were talking about Withered, and
okay, right. So we got into Withered.
Yeah, we kind of wrapped that one up. We talked about the chorus, talked about the ending, reflections. So
yes,
when we wrote this EP, I wanted it to be not really a story per se, but I wanted it to be different pieces of a puzzle that at the end made sense, I guess. I don't know. It's explaining it in words is hard, man. Fucking talking about your own music is just, it's terrible. Because you have like bias and you don't want to like come off as like, yeah, man, this shit's fucking good. It's fucking great. Reflections.
Other people do though.
No, 100%. And if you don't listen to your own, like, listen, everyone listens to their own music. And if you're not doing that, then you're a poser, and you're like a fake. Actually, no, but I love saying actually.
Actually. Good shit.
But yeah, so Reflections is basically the conclusion of Holehearted. It talks about finding my peace through therapy after 5 years, and one of the lines in the song is actually, I found my peace after 5 long years. But I promise in the end we can try to fix this. It's basically talking about how we can do it. I'm not opposed to trying to mend things with my grandparents, but it's also not something that I would like proactively look to do myself. Like, I'm not going to be the one to like, hey, we're cool, right? You know? And it sucks because, you know, I've definitely shared my feelings about how things are between us a few times up until the CP. And I only recently started talking to my grandma very briefly again, being like, hey, how are things going? How are you doing? Just checking up, making sure they're okay. Because even if I dislike someone or hate someone, I still don't wish ill will on anyone. Like, obviously, like, you know, don't eat at my table if I don't like you, but I'm not gonna like, dude, I fucking hope this person dies in a car crash. Like, I don't wish that on anyone, because, you know, everyone has their own reasons for liking or disliking someone, and who am I to say what's morally right and wrong? You know, it's my own jurisdiction, I guess. But That's Holehearted. It talks about my therapy. It talks about what I went through in that 5 years and everything leading up to Reflections, and Reflections is the conclusion. It talks about how I found acceptance and I don't have hateful feelings towards those people anymore. And I just feel melancholy. I don't feel numb. I don't feel nothing, but I don't feel hate. I don't feel anger anymore. So that's what that record is about.
Sweet. I do appreciate you providing the commentary that you did, and even some of the ADHD tangents aside, like we ended up providing the commentary necessary to conquer what is that part of the Surefire discography as far as in-depth lyrical analysis via yours truly. So now that we've done the Under the Skin session, I think before we go ahead and wrap up session for tonight, I think it'll be very important. We've already talked a little bit about the future, the near future intentions, specifically as far as getting more content released, getting more material released, all that shit, right? Is there anything else that you were wanting to mention regarding the near future going into 2024 before we wrap up episode 69 of the Anatomy Podcast?
Nice. We have a tour with Weeping Wound and Glass Waves coming up. Glass Waves is from New York. Weeping Wound is from Florida. If you haven't checked out their bands, highly recommend it. Glass Waves is like one of my favorite up and coming bands right now. I listen to their music more than anyone else, I think. They only have 3 songs out right now, which sucks, but I've heard some of their unreleased stuff and it is sure is fire, baby. No, Weeping Wound is really good. The whole reason I found out about Weeping Wound, and I'm sure I would have found out about Weeping Wound at some point just because I like listening to music. Big shocker, right? But no, Meredith from Victims is actually the one that got me into listening to Weeping Wound because they came through X-Ray Arcade one time and Meredith was like, you should go and see them because they're really good and Dylan and Mike are fucking great. And I'm like, okay, cool, let's go and see them. And I went with Matt and I went with Ian, our bassist, my roommate. I believe it was Ian. It was either Ian or Cameron. And no, they were really fucking good. There's something about bands that have like theatrical aspects to their like actual live performance that just adds so much more. And their drummer is really fucking good too. And I love listening to good drummers, dude. Like seriously. Having a good drummer makes or breaks a band, in my opinion. And when you can literally sit there and like stank face the drummer doing like a freestyle part, you know they're doing something right.
Yes.
We're going on tour for 5 days from March 19th through the 23rd. We're hitting Madison, Wisconsin, St. Paul, Minnesota at Amsterdam Hall, Lefties Live Music in Iowa, the WC Social Club in West Chicago, Illinois, and then X-Ray Arcade in Milwaukee. It's our hometown. You got to obviously have one stop there.
Yes.
Post-tour, we have 3 songs that are being mixed mastered right now, one of which is completely done. Like we have the final mix master. It's ready for release. We're just waiting to film a music video. We'll be doing one for that and doing one with Backstab that has Dylan on it. And then we have another song called Lethargic, which I'm very excited for that. I think all 3 of these singles are really unique in their own way, but they also follow like what we sound like, if that makes sense.
Yes.
I think our second
to the formula.
I think our second EP is what's really going to like stick our foot in the mud and like really plant us down though. I think that we really have put together something that I don't want to say it's genre defining or genre bending because that is a very fucking bold claim and I will not make that claim because I'm not prepared to die on that hill. But I will say that I think that the Surefire sound will have its own unique distinction once this next EP drops, and I think that we'll finally get our foot in the door with this next one. And I know everyone says that, but just based off of the producers and the booking agents that I've sent a few of the demos to, I'm very happy with the feedback that we've gotten, and I'm very excited to continue to do this with my friends and continue to make music for people to either enjoy or not enjoy. I mean, it's up to you. I mean, if you don't like my music, oops. If you do, hooray, you know.
That's the attitude. There you go.
But you know, we have like 13, 14 songs that are unreleased right now that we are writing or have written. I want to say 7 or 8 of them, which are like fully demoed, ready to go. 3 of which are being mixed, mastered. The EP, which has 1 more song to write, and then we'll be done with that. And then after that, we'll see where the road takes us, I guess. If it blows up, great. If it doesn't, oh well, we'll keep trying until it does, you know?
There you go. Well, I do believe that will be a great conclusion to the Anatomy Podcast, episode 69, with Joseph Coleman of Surefire, a steady rising, harder, heavier metalcore band, very similar upon first impression to that of Victims, to that of Dead Awake. There are plenty of bands from that part of the United States that are really making a name for themselves. And that's why, well, we attempt to get them on the show in the first place. But thank you, Joseph, for providing your time tonight. Yes, sir.
One more thing. I'm going to plug some bands if that's cool before you shut things off. Okay.
Do it.
All right. Milwaukee Core. We're doing it, baby. All right. If you want to hear more of the music that we have in our local music scene, and I promise you will, because Milwaukee is kicking fucking ass right now, and I don't mean that with a big head. Genuinely, like, shows around here are popping the fuck off. Check out these bands. There's Still Stayer, Heirs of Humanity, Vapid Soul, Lilac and Lotus, Inara, Dead Awake, Yotuma, Casket Robbery, Lost for Words, Cicada, Zeal. I'll stop there. It's a long list. There are a lot of good bands coming out of here, and I think that within the next like year or so, Milwaukee will really like staple itself as like an A or an S class music market, and I'm very excited to be a part of that.
And hopefully we can get the Anatomy Podcast to be a part of that too, hosting the stories of any and all Milwaukee local acts, starting with so far Surefire, Heirs of Humanity, and Dead Awake. That's just the beginning, folks. To anybody from the Milwaukee area who wants to go ahead and tell their story, make their presence be known in the deep underground counterculture music scene, emerge from the woodwork, tell your story, promote your music, market your shit any way you want, whether it be on the same level that Joseph did today or even deeper. Go deeper than ever before, than we've ever done on the podcast. Make your presence known. Okay. Be sure to reach out to me at SeanCross84462 at gmail.com. Let's get you on the show as soon as possible. Me and my co-host Finn the Orc King Rayleigh, we usually attempt.
Your mic cut out.
That's when it fucking counts.
Such a good flow going too.
That's when it counts too. So usually we will attempt to. Thank you. Me and my co-host Finn the Orc King Rayleigh of Infectorium and the Mid Six as well. Both of us mutually finding a love for networking and communicating with bands all across the scene. If you are from the Milwaukee scene, or if you're from any fucking scene, period. If you want to tell your story, jump on the Anatomy Podcast sometime in the very near future. We will usually attempt to schedule Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, as those are the days that he is most likely available. That way we can have both of the faces of this show in session. We are looking to schedule as many bands as possible this year, but mainly according to those Sunday, Monday, Tuesday time frame, 3 p.m. Phoenix, Arizona time, 5 p.m. Columbus, Ohio time, and we can go for as long as you want. For I work from home. I don't go anywhere. I make money from home. So please get in contact with me, SeanCross84462 at gmail.com. Let's help you tell your story. Let's help you make your presence known here in the deep underground counterculture music world. But I think that'll be episode 69. Thank you again, Joseph, for deciding to jump on, for finally deciding to jump into session, and we will see you guys all next time.
Damn, just left me.